Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Irish Breakdown Podcast, brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. Happy Thursday. Happy first day of fall camp, everybody. It was great. Brian, good to see you and Sean Stiers this morning. I know we're linking up after the show, continuing talking ball, talking in-season stuff. But before we get to all of that fun stuff, Brian, we have a practice to break down. And it's been a couple months since we've been able to say that. And
Yes,
there's a lot
sir.
happening today in South Bend.
There was, man. It was fun to be out there, man. We were supposed to get rain today. It rained in the morning before practice. No rain while we were out there. Beautiful day. Very humid today. No sun, but very humid today. But beautiful day because we had a football field to watch players go practice and got a chance to see everything and got a lot to talk about. We already have the offensive practice report is already written and on the website. We're going to talk about all aspects of the practice today. We're actually going to do a little bit different. We're going to go offense first, defense second, and then kind of dive into the team stuff because we were talking about, we get into the overall and then we start mentioning offense and then defense, and we're like, and then it's like, and then we get to the offense, we're kind of repeating ourselves. So we'll talk about that, and we're gonna do special teams and then sort of a big picture wrap up. But I'll say this: I loved what I saw in all offense and defense today. But the most impressive performance today might have been from a freshman on special teams. We're going to get to that. I mean, it was a great day. Just a reminder, day one is not full pads. They wear they're not like shoulder pads, but they're like smaller spider pad type things, which allows them to be a little bit more competitive than they used to be, where it was like just jerseys. But fun day today, Trev. Good to be out there. See other guys, and it was a good day. But we'll start kind of kick things off. Let's dive right into it, Trev. We will. Oh, by the way, we will answer questions today. So if you guys have questions, throw in a mailbag question. It doesn't have to be about the practice, but if you do ask a question about practice, we'll obviously get to those first. But we will do a mailbag after the practice report. If you guys have questions that you want to ask, feel free, get those in. But Trev, I'm ready to kick things off with what we saw from the Notre Dame offense today. It's obviously this is the side of the ball that we talked about yesterday in the show, was the one where I think more work is needed during fall camp, and we're not going to get all the answers to things in day one. I thought it was a very good first day of practice from the offense, but it's one of 25 basically, and it was a step in the right direction. But overall, I'll say the first thing that I observed from the offense today, I loved the compete level from the majority of the offense up front and then also at the skill positions. Certainly.
When it's a first day of practice, the first day out, and there's no pads, there are some things that you have to evaluate that you might not necessarily be able to when there's so many moving parts of team and one-on-one and 7-on-7. We got to see a lot of that today. But to your point, Brian, when we talked about big picture practice, what we wanted to see is, hey, is this team ready to come out and compete? This is a very crucial part of the offseason. Marcus Freeman alluded to that in his press conference on Tuesday. He's like, hey, we have a tremendous amount of work before we get to September 6th. What was going to be the tone like? We saw a lot of times in spring the offense come out and dictate the tone to the defense. Now, the defense was talented enough where they're like, okay, let's go. Mm-hmm. Let's get to work. And I was hoping to see that again today from the offense, and we absolutely did. It was a clean, crisp practice. Notre Dame practices are very boom, boom, boom. Like it's not a lot of standing around. I got a good chuckle out of their offensive coordinator kind of getting after people after the break was done. It was like, hey, right back to work, bro.
What was funny is they were in a break and he was sitting there just kind of chopping it up with them and just having and as soon as the horn breaks, it's like personality split. All right, let's get to work. And it was awesome, dude. It was like, who is this guy? It was great. No, but that's kind of how Mike Denbrock's always been. But you know what I felt about today's practice overall, but I think the offense had a lot to say with it. It's a very professional practice.
Yeah.
It wasn't like the typical day one rah-rah, talking trash. Like there was a lot of excitement, but very businesslike, but not in a way where there wasn't emotion. There was a lot of emotion, but really focused. That whole practice, but we definitely saw that from the offense today, which, there was what's funny is the most sloppy they were was in the route on the on-air period. Where they had a couple hesitations from the second team, but overall, very crisp day from the offense for day one. A very aggressive day from the offense. Like you said, Now the defense was very good, and we'll get to them. But I liked the compete level in day one. So the way the practice is structured, obviously, you come out, they do dynamic stretch, then they go to special teams, and then they go to individual, and then they did some punt team, and we got to see that today, which was nice. But then there's also they do like routes on air, which is basically quarterback and receivers. They did a one-on-one period with the receivers, DBs, and then like a run fit, inside run period. And then they ended up with team. And I would say there were periods where the defense won, if you're going to grade it. But in none of them did I feel like the defense overwhelmed the offense. And I've said for years, the defense is almost always ahead of the offense early in fall camp. And that was true to a degree today, but I didn't even really feel like it was today. And it's not because I thought, man, that's a rough day from the defense. It was more about just I thought both units really competed. And from an offensive standpoint, that's a great sign, because that's going to be a big question mark, is who steps up as like the playmakers, the leaders, and guys like that. And we saw some of that. Even like older players coaching up younger players. Trevor, you observed this. A lot of the older receivers were like locked in on what Cam Williams is doing. And you could see it with like Jaywan Sider looked a lot more comfortable than he did,
Yeah,
a year ago.
absolutely.
Just real crisp, real good day of work from the offense.
Yeah, and I don't think it's a coincidence either. This is a side of the ball that kind of needed to get back to health from what we saw from them in the spring. They didn't have Jaden Greathouse, Cooper Flanagan. It was his first semester back in practice after coming back from a knee or the Achilles injury. The running back room was a third of what it was today in the spring. And so now you're seeing a group on this side of the ball that, yes, they still have their explosive athletes, but now they have a lot of that veteran leadership and that presence back. And it definitely looked like a unit that was back to full health, ready to go to work. Man, it was awesome to see. Now, Brian, correct me if I'm wrong here. We're going position by position here, kind of giving our overall thoughts of what we saw
Yeah,
today, correct?
yeah. Just so you know, too, one thing is we're not going to have a lot on the freshmen you guys want us to talk about today. The way that they did it is when the first 20 minutes were over, we were sent over to the bleachers, which is on one side of the field. So like the far side. So there's two full practice fields outdoors, and then there's an indoor practice facility. So they put us on the far field, on the outside of the far field, and then we're right there and we can see all the ones. And I'm not complaining at all about where they placed us. I'm just saying, like, you're not in between can't be in between the two fields. I wish we would allow us to do that, but you can't, because they're constantly running back and forth from the fields. There's nowhere to stand. There's not a lot of room. So again, not a complaint. It just means we really can't see the other field very well. There's like a big tower in between, and that's where a lot of the freshmen were. The third team was down there, which sucks for us as analysts, but from a coaching standpoint, it's actually really good.
Yeah.
Because while Joe Rudolph is down there with the first and second team offensive line, Rob Delaney's down there with the third team offensive line, and they're getting work as opposed to just standing there waiting on their third team reps, which come like late in a period. They're actually down there getting reps while we're watching the first and second team get reps. And so you've got, you've got Aaron Henry down with the first team and Javon Codlin down there and Andy Boo down there, guys like that. Now, so it sucks for us. Again, Nick Sebastian down there with the D line. It sucks for us because we want to be able to see Rodney Dunham and Ebenezer Tade and guys like that. But it's great for the team and the players, which it's more important that they're getting the work they need than that we get great views and for our practice support. So again, this isn't a complaint. It's more of just an observation. So we're not going to have a ton on Ian Premer today. We're not going to have a ton on, Rodney Dunham, a lot of the freshmen today. The only freshman we saw on offense was Jonas Walton and Bubba Frazier. And the only freshman we saw on defense was Joey O'Brien that we really got to see a lot of. So just to keep that in mind. But so we'll kind of go position by position, Trev. We'll just go, quarterback, running back, receiver, tight end, O-line. But just want to make sure people know we'll have some comments on what we saw from those freshmen during drills, but nothing from like the team periods and stuff like that. So just keep that in mind as we're working through this.
Let's start out with the quarterback position. A lot of buzz for a host of different reasons. CJ Carr returns as one of the favorites on FanDuel to win the Heisman Trophy this year. You have a battle for QB2, and there is a lot to take away from the quarterback position today. For me, and then I'll kick it back over to you, man. It was kind of business as usual for CJ Carr. There was nothing that he did today that it was like, oh, I haven't seen that before. It was, and I mean that in a good way. It was CJ looked to have a good command of the huddle, good command of the offense. One thing that was different opposed to last year is he obviously took like 95%, if not 100% of all the first team reps, because obviously last year he was in the quarterback competition with Kenny Minchie. But I thought overall today was a pretty clean day from the quarterback's first day of fall camp.
Yeah, I mean, CJ had the one throw on that half roll corner route where, look, I'll just say this. I'm one of my bold predictions. I don't know if CJ is going to throw 4 picks, 6 picks, 8 picks, 10 picks. I have no clue how many interceptions he's going to have this year. But I'm going to predict that at least half of those interceptions are him throwing to Mylan Graham. Because when Mylan Graham's the primary receiver, CJ does not look away from him. And sometimes that's good. And today I thought that got him in trouble. He tried to force a corner route where if Jaden Sanders didn't break it up, Christian Gray was going to break it up. Somebody was breaking up that pass. And he had a couple of those, which you're going to get on the first day of practice.
Sure.
There was a couple in 7-on-7 that he fit into windows that you're like, in a game, you don't do that. But I'll be honest with you, 7-on-7 is the perfect time to do that. There's nothing I hate more than a quarterback in 7-on-7 choosing not to throw. Just drives me nuts. There's even one time he rolled out and threw the ball down the field. Like, I want to see that. I want to see, hey, now's the time to see if you can fit that ball into that window.
Yep.
And, he had a couple of those, but, I mean, there weren't a lot of – there was one ball he threw, Trev, which was funny. I think it was Cam Williams ran a snag route, and he threw the ball like 5 feet over his head. I'm thinking, who's he throwing? And then all of a sudden, wham, hits Ty Washington right in the chest. I didn't see Ty Washington over the middle. I'm like, he missed badly on that one. And then it just hits Ty. Because it looked like CJ was looking at Cam. That's the thing, is like he was looking to the flats and then bam, throws it looked like it was an in cut to Ty Washington behind him. And you're like, okay, that was interesting. And no, guys, I'm not saying that Mylan is the preferred target. I said when Mylan is the number one target on a play, he doesn't look off of him. But no, he's not the number one target. But I thought CJ threw it a lot of zip today, which was good.
Yep.
He took shots down the field, but when he took them and he missed wisely. You didn't see him trying to force the over-the-top throws like we saw last year where he threw a couple deep balls. When he missed on the outside, he missed where it was going to be a catch or not. There was one throw that he made. He's the one that made the outcut that Matt Jeffrey made the diving catch for, right? That was CJ?
Yes, sir. Yes.
So they're running an outcut, and Matt Jeffrey breaks out, and Dallas Golden undercuts the route perfectly. CJ threw an absolute rope to the sideline where it's either going to be Matt Jeffrey can dive and catch it or it's an incomplete pass. Well, Matt Jeffrey dove and caught it, made a great catch. Like, that's the kind of thing where last year CJ tries to put that right on Matt Jeffrey and Dallas undercuts it and either breaks it up or picks it off. So I just see those things I thought was good from CJ, but overall it was kind of what you'd expect from CJ. Try to be aggressive, try to fit some of those throws, but then take the check down when you can. But what I liked about what I saw from CJ and also from Blake Hebert today is when they went to the catch down, the check down, it was late. That's a compliment, by the way, because what can happen is if you go to the check down too quickly, whether you rush your read or the defense, the pressure from the front forces you to go to the check down early, the second level defender, so linebackers, nickels, or if it's a safety that's kind of playing that middle area, they're not as deep. So, that linebacker who's dropping, in the hook zone, if you get to the back and then boom, that ball's got to come out quick because I'm rushing it or whatever, that linebacker's much closer to drive on the ball. For the most part today, what I saw was the quarterbacks be patient. It's not there. Boom, come to the check down. And now there's 6-7 yards of distance between the check down and the linebackers, or in cases where it was a movement route. Like there was one, for example, where he threw a check, kind of an undercut to Cam Williams, who's working under, but he got it to him so quick that Cam caught it. Guy was closing on, but then Cam was able to make somebody miss and get up the field as opposed to getting drilled as soon as he caught it.
Yep.
So I thought that was good. That was a good thing that we saw from CJ and Blake today. Speaking of Blake, Trev, what a weird day of practice.
We were talking about that as it was going down. Of like, just he looked night and day different
Just,
in between
just,
individual
just
drills
look.
to 7-on-7 and team.
Let's just say what we said about him during individual and routes on air. Just say it.
He looked like the fourth of four.
By far. Like, not even close.
Yeah.
He was missing on routes with no defense. Just off target on routes on air, and you're just like, dude, he is the fourth of four quarterbacks. And you're like, that's not good.
Nope.
Then we got to 7-on-7 and team, and he looked great. So I've never seen a practice like that from a quarterback.
It was
where, go ahead, Trev.
Sometimes you talk about people who are like the gamers, and it's almost like that was kind of the switch that needed flipped in Hebert's mind of like, yeah, it's Indy. I'm throwing routes versus air. There's no corners. Oh, there's corners now. Oh, there's a pass rush now.
Yes.
All right, let me turn it on real quick. It was a very interesting day.
Weird. I mean, Trev, I'm not even joking, y'all, when I say this. He looked like the number 4 quarterback, and it was like not close to the 2 freshmen during RV. Ball just didn't come out well. He was throwing, through a post route, and it just died. It just looked not good. And then we get to 7-on-7, and I think it was like the second throw of 7-on-7, just off his back foot throws a seam route to Bubba Frazier that gets right in between 2 defenders, throws a dig route that just splits the defense, threw the best ball of the day in was that 7-on-7 or team when he threw that ball to Jerome Bettis Jr.
That was one-on-ones.
That was one-on-ones. So absolutely tremendous throw there. I'm looking for that particular play, but yeah, it was. I mean, I was so impressed with what I saw from him today. Really, really impressive day. Really impressive day.
Well, he showed off some of the qualities that you want to see out of a potential number 2 quarterback, the ability to battle through some adversity, start out slow. I mean, it was almost, I wasn't at some of the practices to see what Riley Leonard looked like in fall camp, but it was definitely somewhere it was like you start off slow, but then once you start to get your feet wet a little bit, he started to heat up as practice went on.
Yeah.
It was impressive.
And he was more accurate.
Yeah.
He was nice on the outcuts. He was throwing with good timing on the outside. I mean, he looked like if he would have looked all day like he looked in 7-on-7 and team, you're like, dude, right now the freshmen aren't close to him. Now, it's hard to compare the freshmen to him because we didn't see them during team. They were on the far field, but like that's how sharp he was, Trev. I was impressed.
Even mechanically, it was better in team than 7-on-7.
Yeah.
I mean, I was watching him warm up. So, when the team was going through dynamic stretching, the quarterbacks were off over warming up. And I was sitting there and I was watching him and I was like, dude, one of these things doesn't look like the other 3.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, it looks sloppy mechanically. It doesn't look right. The release isn't consistent. His footwork isn't consistent. And then for whatever reason, when Notre Dame went to 7-on-7 and team periods, it looked very uniform, very consistent, compact release. It was interesting. It was a crazy day from him.
Yeah. Noah Grubbs, we didn't see much except during individual because he was on the far field. And then when they split for our one-on-ones, he was down there at CJ the whole time during the run fit period. So, but I thought Noah's definitely is filled out from the spring. Ball was jumping out a little bit better. He just looks so poised in how he goes about his business. Just real sharp, real professional. He physically looks like a veteran. Like he's filled out real nicely. Ball coming out, just looked more like he knew where he was going, knew what he was doing today in the drills we saw, but not a lot to say about Noah just because of the opportunities. We did see a lot more of Teddy today because while Noah was down there handing the ball off with CJ, Teddy was getting a ton of work down there with the receivers during one-on-ones. And so this was our first chance to see Teddy throw in person. He still has that issue that I've talked about where, Trev, you had a good observation today. It definitely is on the deeper throws where he has to put more on it. He transitions too quickly to his front foot, which causes that front foot to lock, and it locks kind of his throwing motion. So there's not like a coming through. It's more like his, and then he's now fighting over it. Sometimes that takes a little bit of zip off of his ball, and it causes his ball to be a little behind. But when mechanically he's good, it jumps out pretty quickly. But there's you can tell when his front foot is too far in front of him because the ball just doesn't come out with the same zip. But when he's good mechanically, Teddy's got a nice arm. Thing I liked about him, Trev, is he did not look phased at all, like during one-on-ones. Like he was out there letting it rip. You see a lot of freshmen when a guy's tight in coverage, he kind of won't let it go. He was letting it go. And a lot of the balls were getting broken up, but they weren't because of him. I mean, he was putting the ball where it needed to be. The coverage was just great. And what I liked about it is I don't think Teddy threw any picks during one-on-one, despite pretty good coverage a lot of times. Because when it's kind of like if I'm throwing a stop route and I'm looking at my receiver and my receiver's to the right and the DB's to the left, I got to throw that ball on the outside shoulder to that guy. Because if I throw it on the inside shoulder, that DB's got a chance to jump the route. And every time Teddy threw in a tight coverage, it was away from the defender. Which is, I mean, that's pretty good for a freshman, So I was glad to see that. Just the feel that honestly we didn't get to see that in high school because I don't remember Teddy getting a whole lot of non-quick game throws where he even had time to throw.
Yeah,
I mean, it was a kind of a wasted year in a lot of ways for him, and it wasn't his fault. But overall, you can see the tools with Noah and Teddy. There's definitely some talent there, but we just get to see him, do a lot during team and things like that.
With this being Teddy's first collegiate practice, he did not look like he was swimming as much as if he would have maybe been an early enrollee. So I think him coming in the summer and spending some time with that room before like really jumping into it was beneficial. By the way, memory was incorrect. Mine was. It was 7-on-7s that Blake threw that ball to Jerome because I remember Teddy Gerard was the only quarterback that threw in one-on-ones.
Right.
So that's my bad there.
Which was interesting.
Catch was
very interesting to see that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But he needed the work. Now, he did get some team reps. I don't know how he looked during team. Same with Noah because they were on the far field. But from what we saw, I liked what I saw from the talent level in the quarterback room is really good.
Yeah.
Like without no Kenny, obviously we loved how Kenny threw the ball. You guys know that. We loved Kenny's arm talent. Steve did some really good things, but just there's some really live arms in that room right now. Very live arms. Solid first day for the quarterbacks. Would you say, Trev?
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely would.
Same thing for running backs.
Yep. Yeah. Just about to say, man, I mean, it was good to see them back at full strength, because going to see him in the spring, it was a little, there was definitely some things to watch because Jonas Walton was a true freshman. It was our first time getting to see him, and it was our first time seeing Nolan James get reps with the first team offense. But I will say it was good to see everybody back in the rotation today. Aeneas, Kedron, obviously they were both out there. It was good to see Aeneas out there, not with a gigantic elbow brace on, like the one that like J.J. Watt was rocking in his prime in the NFL.
Dude, we haven't seen him not have that on since what, spring of 2025?
Mm-hmm.
He had that on day one of fall camp last year.
Yep.
That was
he
nice.
did. He had it on against Miami. I remember that. I just watched the Miami highlight. Yeah.
Right. But he had it on first day of fall camp last year. He was rocking that thing. So I'll tell you about Aeneas. We had heard, it's nice to see, you made this comment when we were there at practice. It's nice to see when the intel we got is confirmed by what we see.
Yeah.
And one thing that we had in our intel report was that Aeneas has a bit more juice than he did last year. And that was obvious. There was one play, Trev. They ran, I think it was mid-zone, but he took a couple lead steps and then planted that back foot, and he looked like Jadarian, the burst that Jadarian had getting through the hole. I'm serious. Like that's the kind of plant and go that we saw from Aeneas today, and that was it was a good sign because he's a good athlete. We know that he can make plays. We've seen him do it in big games, but that put your foot in the ground and get downhill was good. I'll say this about the backs overall. I love the patience they show as a room, as runners. They are very and I saw Jaywan Sider praise them multiple times for this. There was one play where the play doesn't work because Keon Keeley blew it up. But yeah, obviously you're not, it looked like they weren't tackling at the time, but Nolan James Jr. did a great job of just stretch, and then make the cut. And you saw that a lot today. You saw it from Aeneas, Kedron, Jonas. We didn't see Javion in any of the team reps, but the other four we got a chance to see. And as a group, the patience that this room showed in the run game was good. But then they're not overly patient where it's like, now you missed your window.
Yeah.
That's something that surprised me. The timing in the run game today between the backs and the line was sharper than I expected it to be.
For
To be
day
honest.
one, especially.
Yeah, for day one. It better
Yeah.
look like that. I mean, it needs to look like that in late August and early September, and it looked like that on August 6th. That was a good sign.
Yep. Part of it too, you mentioned it early in the show, but Jaywan Sider looked a lot more like involved today. Not that he
Yeah.
wasn't involved last year,
But he
but
was loud last year.
yes.
And it's like he
Yeah.
was trying to prove something. He was chill, but he was constantly just like walking down, hey, good job, talking. And there was teaching involved. He looked different than last year. I think part of it, just my opinion, I think part of it is it's his room now. I think last year he was trying to prove something like, hey, I'm replacing Dylan McCullough. I got to prove that I'm the guy and all this. He just looked much more comfortable in his own skin today. And also I think he knows the players better. There was a greater comfort level with him today, I thought, than what we saw last year. And it was good. I mean, he was constantly teaching and meeting them down the field and talking to them and pointing things out, and had a couple things to say to the DBs, DB coach a couple times.
Yeah.
Hey man, you get that holding right there, sticking up for the receivers, which was good to see. But yeah, he looked comfortable today. Speaking of looking comfortable today, all the backs looked good. 21, Kedron Young was, to me, the most impressive back we saw today. And that got me a little jazzed. He looked good.
Yeah.
No ill effects, at least today, from the knee, in that the hesitancy to plan off of it. Kedron looked really good today. Leaner. I mean, he's listed at 234. Leaner. He is still a thick back, but not as much of the I'm trying to think of the way to say this. He didn't look extra thick. He looked a little leaner. Big, but a little leaner, and his movement skills. Like, I mean, you could just see, like, he's in his stance, right? Like, he's in his running back stance like this, and his triceps are just like, like, okay.
Yeah, the dude's rocked.
Yes, yes, but it's just a little leaner than what it's been, in my opinion.
He passed the first test, I think, with flying colors. It was, okay, get back out there. What do you look like going back through it, being involved with the offense, running reps with the ones and then mixing in with the twos. Next big step for him is going to be when the pads come on. All the pads, pants, shoulder pads, everything. But I thought he looked fantastic today. I'm with you.
Yeah.
He was the player yesterday where I talked about I was most looking forward to seeing what Kedron Young looked like on offense, and he passed my first test with flying. Now, again, have to see it full speed, have to see it when he knows he can get tackled. That's a piece of it too. Mentally coming back from a knee injury, it's when you know you're not getting tackled, you can run and plant a little bit different when it's like, oh, am I planting into somebody? Mm-hmm. Am I about to make this cut up into the A-gap, into the arms or chest of Tion Gray? So it gets a little bit different, but today, dude, he looked awesome.
It was funny. There was a play. First, I mean, his explosiveness was back. He looked like he did last spring. There was a play in at the end of the practice when we were walking out where they threw, like, it's good coverage, and he threw a kind of a check down swing to Kedron. CJ did, and Luke Towch kind of went running up to him and kind of went inside of him. Kedron actually got to the edge, but Luke kind of went by and like reached out and tapped him, like, yo, I got you. And I'm like, I don't think Kedron's going to be that easy to tackle in space as you thought it might have been there, Luke. But he looked really good. And the other thing too is about the whole room. They catch the ball extremely well. Like, they don't take a back seat in that regard. I mean, we didn't talk about this when we were talking about Aeneas, but like, he ran a corner route today in RVA, routes versus air. And the ball was not thrown in a way where he should have only needed one hand, but he just did it anyway. And he just goes, whoop, one hand on a corner route, like 40 yards down the field. Aeneas just one hand.
With his non-dominant hand.
Oh, yeah. There was another corner route to Nolan James Jr. that was way underthrown. And he just kind of bends it back, reaches down, and kind of catches it about 2 feet off the ground like it's nothing. I thought Kedron caught the ball. He did mostly shorter stuff. Jonas Walton caught the ball well today. And Javion caught the ball well too. But yeah, this group is very patient. A lot of explosiveness. They look different. Not having Jeremiah Love in the backfield, they look just different because there's not that kind of tall. They all look like Jadarian, like they're shorter. They look like running backs, like where Jeremiah was like kind of looked like a receiver playing running back or looked like a
Yeah.
free safety playing running back. They look different, but super agile, real quick, went through bag drills exceptionally well. Did a lot of blocking drills today too. Really competed in that regard. But it's kind of like we've talked about. We think this running back room is going to be good. And guys, look, one practice in a day where they're not tackling because they're not in full pads is not mean like they're fine. They're going to be great.
Sure.
Not going to miss Jeremiah at all. I'm simply saying athletically, quickness wise, decisiveness, comfortability in the system looked as good as you'd want it to look on day one. Not hyperbole at all. Guys, this is going to this as I'm writing the report and as Trev and I are talking. Like, how can you be this fired up about both sides of the ball? Guys, that's the kind of day it was, in my opinion. There wasn't a lot of screaming and jumping on guys for not being locked in. We'll get to one. One coach did. He got after it, but
did.
It was a really crisp professional day, man. Like they went about their business and competed. But athletically, when you just look at the physical talent, this running back room is loaded. And interestingly, Jonas Walton is actually was the third back that we saw out there. Kedron got some reps with the ones also. And then we saw some of Jonas Walton today too. And he looks a lot more comfortable right now. There's one play where we're like, ooh, man, Kedron with the nice cut there. And we're like, oh, wait, that's not Kedron. That's Jonas. They look very similar. Very similar.
Yeah. In yesterday or Tuesday's press conference, we heard from Drake Bowen, and he was asked about, who stood out over the summer. And he's like, dude, Jonas Walton has had a summer in the weight room. And that he did because we can confirm. Brian, you made the comment to me. We're standing on the bleachers, and you're like, dude, Jonas Walton is kind of built like Kedron Young.
Yeah. I mean, and then because that was right after we were like, hey, nice run by Kedron. Mm-hmm. And I was like, well, that wasn't Kedron, man. That was Jonas. Okay. All right. So that was good to see. But yeah, overall, real good day from the running backs. They are definitely going to be weapons in the pass game. I'll say this is kind of a quarterback running back type of thing. CJ Carr looked more comfortable taking the checkdowns than I've seen him look in a practice. And I think part of that is a comfort level with the weapons you're getting the ball down to, as well as you're more comfortable as a quarterback knowing, hey, because today, like what was today? Today was base offense. They were literally in 1st and 10 in every drill they did. 1st and 10 in 7-on-7, 1st and 10 in team. There was no team period where they were going down the field like they did last year. It was just like, we're out here, we're getting work in. And so like it was base offense stuff. It was a little bit different than we saw last year. Not as much of the okay, now go down the field and try to score type of thing as we saw last year. But like when you look at it, there was a level of, all right, 1st and 10, I'll take the 4-yard gain on the check down instead of trying to force a ball down the field. And then sometimes those check downs turn into guys missing tackles, and now it's a 5, 6, 7-yard gain. A lot more comfort there, but part of that is you've got backs that you're comfortable throwing the ball to, and combine that with being in your second year, it makes a lot of sense why we saw that.
Let's talk about the wide receivers, Brian, and we got to see a lot from Mike Brown's group today, just from where we were sitting. I mean, based on where we were placed on the bleachers, the wide receivers were running all of their drills.
Yep. Right Yeah. The battles between the receivers and the DBs were fun to watch today.
Yeah.
I would probably give the overall edge to secondary with the first team and the receivers with the second team. But even when the DBs were winning, like it was good competition. There were times when the DBs were all over the receivers, and the receivers fought hard for the ball and made the catch. Overall, good day. A group that's a bit of a work in progress, I think, but as we've talked about yesterday, but they did not back down at all from the secondary today, which is good because that's a really good secondary. And we'll get to that in part 2 of the show, but it's a really good secondary. I think Leonard Moore got his hand. I think Leonard Moore got targeted 5 times and he had 4 breakups today. It's like, good Lord. But real good competition. But I'll say this, guys. Some of y'all are going to roll your eyes at this one and you're going to say, I need to see it in the fall. And that's fair. That's totally fair. I'm not being hyperbolic today. I'm fired up about being out at the football field, but I think you guys know me well enough to know I'm going to shoot you straight. If something wasn't good, I'm going to tell you. I've never seen Jaden Greathouse look like he looked today, ever. Physically, explosiveness, all of it. He was head and shoulders the best receiver on the field today from what we saw. Now, again, day one, all of that, I understand. But he was leaner in the upper body. But he looked more defined, more cut. He was stronger working down the field. Like he wasn't getting bumped as much as he normally does. The burst out of his top ends was like, oh my goodness, like this is what it's supposed to look like. Caught the ball well. This was as good as I've ever seen Jaden Greathouse on a practice field. Again, day one, no pads. I understand all that. He's got to stay healthy. I get all that, guys. I understand. I don't need to throw those caveats every time, but Trev, we both looked at each other like, dude, number one is a little different. And I thought Jaden Greathouse or Jordan Faison had a really good day, but there's just a number one just looked different. He looks, I don't know if he is taller, just look taller. But Jaden Greathouse looked really good today. Really good today.
You mentioned how the overall offense just had this business-like approach to it. I don't know if anybody had a more business-like approach to today's practice than Jaden Greathouse. I got to imagine that he's heard a lot of the noise about him. You got to stay healthy, got to do this to prove to me, yada, yada, yada. He had an excellent day today, I thought. I'm with you. He looks more refined. He looks more defined. Very intentional about how he went about practice today. I thought he looked great. I'm with you. Now, I feel very similar to him. It's like cautious optimism.
Sure.
I feel very similar to him about how I feel about Kedron Young. You have now passed my first test with flying colors.
That's all it is. Test numero uno.
Yep. And now it's okay. When the pads come on, what happens? Are we saying the same thing after a practice next week and so on and so forth? And this isn't me saying probably not. It's just that's where we're at with him. But, dude, he looked
And for all you saying show me mode, the show me mode is about him staying healthy. We know he can ball out.
Yeah, absolutely.
We've seen it. Let's not forget that I think there's only one other receiver in college football that's got 200-yard playoff games right now, and that's him and Jeremiah Smith. But the fact that he looked even better than we saw, last time he was healthy was good to see. He looked very focused and determined. I thought Jordan Faison had a very good day. He looked really explosive on routes, competing for the ball. He shows such a better understanding now compared to where he was 2 years ago of like you're working an in cut or a slant cut. Slant's not always here 45. It's like you got to work off the defense. And we saw that from Jordan today, where a couple of times it looked like he was running an under route because the defender was playing the corner and he leveled it off to kind of give the quarterback a window and look good doing it. So I thought Jordan Faison looked like Jordan Faison today. And nothing, just did well. I'll say this, something I liked. I liked how much we saw them they didn't always line up in the same spot. I'll just say that. I don't want to give too much away because I don't want to get in trouble. It's the only practice we're going to see all fall camp. But there was something that I've always said I wanted to see is I don't want the Jordan Faison to be in the same spot every time. And that today we saw that. It was a lot of interchangeable aspects to how they lined up with their receivers today, which was good to see.
Small observation about Jordan Faison before we move on to the next wide receiver. I don't know why, and maybe this is just something that I hadn't paid attention to. His arms looked longer today.
There,
Now,
yeah.
obviously, he didn't
No,
get
he
longer
always had
arms
long arms. Yeah,
this summer, but that was just something that I've never really noticed.
yeah.
I just assumed like, okay, he's kind of like a shorter, sawed off field receiver.
He's
Well,
got
I
pretty
didn't
good
think he
length.
had
Yeah,
stubby arms, but I never
yeah.
noticed that. But he looked good today.
Well, I think part of it is too his comfort level going after the ball. There's a couple
Mhm.
times he had high heaters that he just reached up and snatched it right out of the air, which was good to see. Yeah, he looked good. And you can tell of the guys in the room that there's a bit more of him as the leader of the room. You can
Yeah,
kind of see that. There were several times I saw Jordan talking to another younger receiver about something. That was good to see, but he's definitely taken on a leadership role in that room.
and he was one of the guys who, because we're getting ready to talk about him, he was one of the guys that was kind of amping up Cam Williams a little bit of that, like,
Constantly talking to
yes,
Cam.
yes, but it
Which is
wasn't
funny
as
because Cam lined up at the same position as Jordan. So technically there's competition there, but he was constantly. I think Jordan Faison watched every rep that Cam Williams ran today.
Yep, and it was intentional, and it wasn't something that was like, "Look at me, I'm trying to be a captain," or "Look at me, I'm showing you that this is my room." It was a lot of like, "Hey, good stuff, man." Like we saw it because it was literally 10 yards
Right
in
in
front
front
of
of
us,
us. Right.
but it wasn't like Mike Denbrock was standing next to him. He was like, "Hey, good job, come on now, let's keep it up." It was, "Hey, dude, good job. Make sure you angle in this way." Talk about blocking. Hey, when you release. So there's a bunch of different things that I saw from Jordan Faison today as a leader. Spent a lot of time with Cam Williams, and we also spent a lot of time watching Cam Williams. And he was somebody today where, if it wasn't for a drop that he had early on in practice, it would have probably been the best practice I would have say he's had at Notre Dame. He
Mm-hmm.
looked good today.
Agree. Let's get into it. Cam Williams. Listen, I was like, it's over. He ran a route, and it was the most Cam Williams thing ever. He torches DJ McKinney on a dig route.
Cooked.
Torches him. Just explodes off the line, gives him a quick jab. He's 7-8 yards in front of DJ McKinney, who had a good day today, and just drops the ball. And you're like, here we go. That was the end of Cam Williams looking like Cam Williams of the past. After that, one of the best days Cam's had. And here's why I say that. We know Cam can run down the field. And there's a couple times there was one play where, who was it that he beat? Jaden Sanders? Beat him on a post route, but Blake Heber didn't find him.
Yep. Yes, sir.
I mean, he torched him and didn't find him. But he had 3 or 4 catches with guys draped all over him later in the practice. Ran a snag route. So snag route is it's a concept that teams run where the outside guy in the slot guy, right? So you're running the snag ideally to influence the flat defender. So you're putting the flat defender in a bind. So it's a two receiver look usually. Number 1 will kind of run over, and he'll run sort of like an option route right over top of where number 2 started. Number 2 will run some sort of vertical route, corner route, slot fade, dig, and then a back or number 3, if there's a motioner, will then run either a swing or a slide. So you're trying to do a quick throw. You're isolating that flat defender. If he buzzes outside on the outside route, you bang that snag route behind it. Or now we've seen Notre Dame throw the corner off that. I remember one, I believe that's the route they ran when Riley Leonard hit Cooper Flanagan on a corner route against Texas A&M. I think that was off of a snag concept. But normally that deep route is sort of it's a clear route. You're trying to take the defense off and isolate that flat defender. Great 3rd and short route, great first down route, just get some good easy yards, 5-6 yards, that kind of thing. And the defense was all over it. I mean, they've seen that route a million times. They were all over it. And CJ and Blake both threw ropes into coverage, and Cam did a great job. So, like, he hit the route, and the ball was thrown, and Cam stepped to the ball and beat the defender to the ball and then wrestled him for the ball. So it's like that dig route makes you want to pull your hair out because you're like, dude, that was about to be the best rep of the day. You just torched a guy that's a 2-year starter in the Big 12. And you drop it. But after that, I thought Cam was good in the pass game. Fought for the ball, had one play where he caught a slant route. Safety was coming down on him, and Cam catches it and like jump cuts like Jadarian Price, makes the guy miss, and then cuts upfield for extra yards. Like that's some freakiness. Routes were solid today. The only other time he got jumped on by Jordan Faison, by the way, is he blocked the wrong guy. And that's the kind of stuff that Cam's got to work through. You can't have those big drops when you just cooked a cornerback. But I loved how he bounced back. It didn't get him down. He was mad at himself, clearly mad at himself, because I think he thought, I'm about to score. I mean, you could just see it. And then, but the rest of the day, Trev fought hard for the football. And there was one play he broke up an interception because they ran a shorter route. I think it might have been a little hitch route. And the corner was about to jump the route. And Cam jumps in front of the corner. And all the guy could get a hand on it. If Cam just sits there and waits on it, which is something that we talked about last year that was frustrated us early in fall camp. It's like they're just waiting on the ball. They don't compete for the football. Cam jumps to the ball. It's a breakup instead of a pick six. You're like, okay, that's a good rep right there. That's a good offensive rep. It's also a great defensive rep, but it's a good job by you not letting that great rep result in a turnover. So again, there's a long way to go for Cam Williams, but today was a good first step. And I'll say this, Trev, you made this observation when we were in the car. It is very obvious that they are pushing Cam Williams right now, who, by the way, today was playing X, which is the field outside spot. And if he doesn't play, it's going to be on him. But it was obvious today that they're going to give him that opportunity. Now, here's the key for Cam. Cam has had great days of practice in the past. That's not new. It's can he stack them? And we won't know that because this is literally the only full practice we're going to get to. That's it. This is it. After this, all we're going to see is stretch, special teams, and maybe one or two individual periods. That's all we're going to see. But the key for him is going to be, can you stack it? Can you stack it? Can you stack it? And again, I think some of you like to take things I say out of context to kind of fit your own narrative. When I say a long way to go, it's true for everyone. It's the first day of fall camp. And when you have to prove things, I don't care if you're a junior, senior, fifth year, one day of practice doesn't do that. It's doing it day after day after day. So you can spend this however you want, but that's not what we said. It's the long way to go is great day, but go prove it. I'd also like to point out for the people that have already written Cam Williams off, he has more catches in his career going into his junior year than Javon McKinley had going into his senior year. And Javon McKinley was the best receiver they had on a playoff team by his fifth year. So again, don't take things we say and to fit your narrative. Take what we say as what we're saying because we were there and we saw it. If this is what we get from Cam Williams all fall camp, he's going to play and he's going to help this team. But he's now got to go out and do it every day because we've seen days like this before. That's what we're referring to. But it's very clear that he's getting a push from his teammates. And when he made a play, you heard more congratulations than when anybody else made a play, other than the one play from Jerome Bettis Jr., which we'll get to. Because Jerome, let's just talk about Jerome a little bit. Dude, I liked Jerome out of high school. He's a nice player. It's like, I don't know. This kid can play, man. I'll say this. We liked him in the spring, but he was making great catch after great catch in the spring before he got hurt. But it was like he had somebody draped on him every time because he just couldn't get separation. He looked a lot quicker today. Yep. He did. Torched Mark Zachary on a go route. Just beat him off the line, had us 2 steps on him the whole time, and then he had to slow down at the very end because the ball by Blake Hebert was just slightly this far off from being perfect to catch it here. Mark Zachary reaches out and grabs him, and Jerome doesn't phase him, and he just makes this great over-the-shoulder catch on the sideline. And you're like, dude, that was a big boy play right there from the sophomore. That was a big boy play. And he was working with the number 2 boundary. And now in his defense, in Micah Gilbert's defense, Micah was going against Leonard Moore all day. Then Jerome Bettis is going against Mark Zachary. So, yeah. I'm not. You guys do know that we're talking about the offense now. So we're talking about the good things from the offense. And so, yes, in a good day of practice, some guys are going to get beat, some guys aren't. So no, I just love it when we talk about a guy torch somebody. It gets turned into, are we worried about the DBs getting torched? No, because these are really good receivers, and that's going to happen in practice. At somebody else at the very beginning, he's like, you sounds like the receivers sucked and the DBs crushed them. You guys got to pick a lane. But that's what a great practice is. DBs are going to win some, receivers are going to win some. That's what you want from a really talented team. You get concerned when it's like one side of the ball is constantly dominating. But, we saw them hundreds of reps today, and 3 of them we saw a receiver torch somebody. That's kind of what you want to see. You don't want to see it a lot, but you want to see it sometimes, because otherwise it's a concern about the offense. So I love you guys. But, yes,
Yeah.
I'm
If
not
we were
concerned.
talking more about the DBs and the offensive portion, that would be the indicator of who really took the day.
Yes. But no, it was a good day from Jerome Bettis Jr. Very good day.
It was, I echo the same sentiment for just a lot of the young receivers today. It's once they got into like team period, we didn't get to see them a whole lot because they were on that far field.
Other than Bubba.
Yep,
Yeah.
other than Bubba Frazier. But I thought the young wide receivers today showed a lot of explosiveness. There was a lot of those players that were as advertised. It was a promising day from them.
We won't talk about it, but you said this. I'm going to say we won't talk about him after this because we didn't get to see him a whole lot after individual. But just in individual drills and during kick return drills, Braden Robinson is explosive.
Dude.
I think the only other receiver that really works at the same gear he does is probably Bubba Frazier. That's about it. Braden, this is our first time we got to see Braden. He has got juice, Trev. Him and Bubba bring a very different element to the offense. Very different element.
Yeah, those 2 kids have horsepower. It's 0 to 60 very, very, very quickly. And it was, to your point, we only saw it in special teams a little bit, individual drills, but where I noticed it was special teams. Like there was one drill where he caught a pass and caught either a kick or a punt and one cut and go. And it looked so different.
It was a kick return. It was a kick. And yeah.
Dude. Whew. Yeah, he moves.
Yeah, and Bubba had a great day. Bubba had a really nice catch in front of, I think it was DJ McKinney. It looked like cover 3, and so DJ was outside and he closed on the seam route, and Blake Hebert threw it in there, and Bubba made a great play. Today was their best after the catch guy, Bubba was, but he caught the ball down the field. He competes for seam routes. He looked so much more comfortable in the system than what he did in the spring. And one of the things that was in our intel report, and again, people tell us things, and sometimes, they don't turn out like we were told, and sometimes they do. But one of the things that was in the intel report about the receivers was how high the football IQ is for Bubba Frazier. You could see that today. His comfort level in the systems was really impressive. Just even little things like running a hitch route and then starting to look inside. He sees the backer working out and just slowly start to work away to keep that window there for the quarterback to throw the check down to him. He's going to help him this year. He's a good football player. He's going to be hard to keep off the field in some capacity. He really is. Really like what I saw from Bubba Frazier. So, Trev, let's get into some of the other receivers. Some people in the chat are asking about Quincy Porter. Quincy Porter took no reps today. You saw him during individual periods. He was out there during individual periods. He took no team reps today. That's not a surprise. He was one of those guys listed on modified activity. It's the same reason we didn't see Elijah Burris today during team periods or 7-on-7s. Now, we saw him during some of the periods where they weren't going against the defense, but he was not out there during team. And I don't know if you saw a video that had him out there, but we had no access to team. So unless Notre Dame put out a video during team, you didn't see any team videos. So just so we're clear, he did not take any team reps today. So I just want to make sure we're clear on that. Now, once he gets back, he'll obviously be in the boundary competition, but he was not out there. Elijah Burris was not out there during the team periods. He didn't take any one-on-one reps or 7-on-7 reps or team reps either. So I just want to make sure that we're clear on that one. So just want to go through a couple other receivers here. I think Trev's working through some technical difficulties here, but a couple of things. A receiver today. We talked about Cam. Micah Gilbert I feel bad for Mike because it was really hard to tell what he could do because every rep he took was against Leonard Moore, and he caught one pass today that we marked down. That was a slant route against Leonard, and that was against off coverage. But anytime it was tight coverage, he was all over Micah Gilbert. Leonard Moore was all over Micah Gilbert. So we didn't get a chance to see Micah do a whole lot today. I think he was only targeted the one time that he was able to catch a ball. But he was the other times were 1-on-1s and 7-on-7s, but Leonard was all over him today, which is okay. Leonard's all over kind of everybody a little bit, but that was a good day. Tight ends, let's just be real brief with the tight ends, Trev. We didn't spend a lot of time on them today. Cooper Flanagan looks comfortable, moving well, working. We only saw him get targeted during kind of RVA period, works down the field really well, catches the ball well. Ty Washington was the most targeted tight end today in the team 7-on-7 periods, and he did very well. It's a lot of those were checkdowns, but did catch a ball over the middle of the field. We thought CJ, or was it Blake? I think it was CJ, wasn't it? So because that's something I like too, is there were reps where we saw CJ, they'd put the second team in with CJ, let him get throws to the second team receivers. So, I mean, you're really trying to build that rapport with a lot more guys. I'm like, man, CJ missed that one badly. And then you realize it hit Ty Washington right in the chest. Jack Larson, I didn't see doing a whole lot to catch the ball today, but that's okay. Jack had two really nice blocks in the run game. He did a really nice job on it. I think it was an inside zone, the way it cut. Could have been a duo with a bounce, but basically you're running downhill. He takes the defensive end and works him inside, and I think it was Jonas it's Keedron cuts right behind Jack and takes it out the back door for a big play. So really liked what I saw from Jack Larson competing in the run game today. James Flanagan, really, really good run blocker, and you saw that today. He needs work as a route runner. We had that in our intel piece, but he still doesn't look super comfortable with some of his top ends. When he's just working down the field on like seams and stuff, he catches the ball very well. He does well on the vertical stuff, but he's got to really work through that. Coop did get beat early by Bryce Young on an early run. Bryce rocked him back and made a play, but outside of that, I thought Coop was real solid in the run game today. So that's what we saw from the tight ends. Let's wrap things up with the offense, Trev, talking about the offensive line and what we saw from them today. It did not start well for the O-line. There was one point where Coach Rudolph, he laid into him a little bit. But I thought after that, they looked pretty good.
Yeah, he let them know that he was not happy about how they started out their practice, but they answered the bell. And that's something that you want to see, especially in first day of fall camp, is, okay, how do you respond to starting off a little sluggish? It was humid. It was hot. Guess what? You're going to have humid, hot September games when the season rolls around. And once inside run and run fit and team period started, I thought the offensive line really started to pick it up. First and foremost, this unit across the board is just absolutely massive. I just wanted to get that note out there right now. But as far as their performance on the field today, especially in pass protection, I thought it was exceptional. That doesn't mean that run was bad, but pass blocking was great. They were great in both. But I thought in pass pro today, especially during the team period, across the board, I thought it was exceptional. I thought they did great.
Well, it was interesting because, I mean, I was down there watching them during Indy. I was down there kind of watching the two, and they were dragging. I mean, they were asking for water. I mean, they were dragging. And it was humid. And anyone that's coached football, humidity early in fall camp crushes your big boys. I mean, it is like, it's the guys carrying 300 plus pounds is who that's going to, I mean, Braden Robinson at $165 is okay. And from Texas, he's okay today. You know what I mean? Like, this was nothing for him. He was fine. Yeah. But the 320-pound kid from Michigan is like, I'm kind of dragging today. But once he lit into them, I mean, they were competing. They were just kind of dragging. And I think they were losing a little bit of focus, and Coach Rudolph lit into them. And it wasn't profanity laden. It was just get your heads out of your butts and let's get going, kind of thing. And they went out there during the run fit period and battled their tails off, did really well. The run game, win some, lose some, certainly. But the pass pro was strong, especially from the first group. And it wasn't, Trev, it wasn't like I'm like, man, I'm worried about the D-line. I mean, the D-line executed a couple. Like, they ran one pass play, twist where Francis Brew flies off the ball and just rocks into Sullivan Absher. And I'm like, that's a great release. But Sully did such a good job at anchoring and not letting him get pushed back into the quarterback. And then they ran a twist inside. And Bryce Young had a really nice jab twist. And you're like, dude, but the O-line just picked it up. And just like, we're all over it. I mean, they were doing moves. I'm like, that's a really good move. But the length was just, it's too much. Because even when the D-line would get a step, the length is such that they were just able to lock it in. And we've talked about this. Sullivan Absher was elite in pass pro last year in the 5 games. He gave up 2 pressures, total 2 pressures in 5 games last year. Billy Schrauth had one of the better guard seasons since Pro Football Focus has been doing this. In 2024, he gave up 8 pressures in 12 games. Think about that. He gave up 2 in 5. So that's what, in a 12-game stretch, what is that going to be, 5? Let me look that up here. So times 12, that's 4.8 is what he would have given up over the course of a full season. And so, I mean, he only gave up one of those in the up was against Miami in the opener. So he looked good today. Look, I wrote this on the message board, and I'll say this here. Listen, I've started covering the team in person in 2010. And in that time, I've seen on the practice field every day, I've seen Zach Martin, Chris Watt, Braxton Cave, Trevor Robinson, Taylor Deaver, Ronnie Stanley, Steve Elmer, Mike McGlinchey, Christian Lombard, Quentin Nelson, Alex Barr, Sam Mustipher, Robert Hainsey, Tommy Kramer, Jarrett Patterson, Josh Lugg, Joe Alt, Blake Fisher. Seen some great offensive linemen over the years. And just like we've seen great corners, and like when guys are great, you see it. They look different. They move different. They bend different. They block different. It's just different. And I'm not talking about, boy, in 3 years, that guy's going to be good. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about like right now, this cat is different. I saw 2 guys like that today on the O-line today, Trev. 54 and 76.
Yeah.
They looked like those guys we see when those guys were going into the years they were going to dominate. Not Mike McGlinchey's redshirt freshman year where you're like, dude, one rep he looked like $1 million, and the next rep you're like, he's got time. He needs time. I'm talking about in the years where you saw their dominance start to show. Saw that from both those guys today. And it's not just, oh, they won this rep and they won that rep. It's just the way they move. Like I've tried to explain it before, and I don't really know how to do it. It's just different. When I see Jalen Smith, it's like, that's different. You know, and that doesn't mean Niles Morgan and Tavon Coney aren't really good. Drew Tranquil aren't really good players, but it's just different when you see Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. It's different when you see Jalen Smith. It's different when you see Benjamin Morrison. It's different when you see those guys. And we saw that with Tay at the beginning of fall camp last year. We're like, yo, this cat is going to be a playmaker. It's just different. When you see Anthony Knapp, it's like at guard, you're like, he was built for this. I mean, just the way he bends, the way he drives his feet, the physicality, the push, the athleticism, it's perfect for guard. And the same thing with Gerby. He's such a long-limbed kid that I think being at guard was a little bit tougher for him because everything happened so quickly. And he's this big, long-limbed kid, but you get him out in space, and he's perfect for it. And just the pop in pass pro, the patience in pass pro, like not oversetting, you know, being in perfect form, knowing like, hey, I'm 6'7" with like 30, almost 36-inch arms. I don't need to overset. If you go outside, you're cooked. I got to make sure I'm ready for the double move, and he handles that so well. And those 2 kids just look different, Trev. Like they're on a different level right now than we've seen them in the past. And when I watch Anthony Knapp practice today, again, this is one day. It reminded me so much of when I was watching Zach Martin in his last, you know, his 2011. You know what I mean? And watching Zach, because I didn't see Zach on the practice field in 2012 and 2013 because I was coaching those 2 years. But I mean, I was at games in 2012 and I watched him on film, and it reminds me so much of that. This catch is a little bit different. But when I watch Gerby, it's like he reminds me so much of Ronnie Stanley, but he's more powerful and more consistent. That's going to sound crazy to say, but he's just a more consistent, more steady player. Loved what I saw from those 2 guys. Like, it was like, okay, we thought they're going to be really good. But today it's like, okay, wow, that's impressive.
I didn't get to see Anthony Knapp a whole lot just from where we were standing and the direction the offense was going in. I kind of really only see like right guard, right tackle. And then when they were going through individual periods, I was over watching defense. Brian was down by the offensive line. But I can absolutely echo that sentiment about Gerby Lambert.
Mm-hmm.
That dude is built different, literally, figuratively. I mean, there's just not a lot of 6'7", 330-pound right tackles that move and how are that light on their feet, but are that strong. I mean, it was exceptional to watch. And then some of the other players as well. I mean, they're on their way. You know, I thought Will Black had a good day today.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I limited stuff from Ashton Craig, like we kind of expected to see. I thought Sully had a really good day today. I was impressed with the offensive line and all the things that I saw, man.
Yeah. Think about Will. Will's just not as physically powerful as the other two right now. Like that's the part of his game that's going to need some work. But he doesn't try to play like a powerful guy. He plays like an athlete. I'm going to beat you to the spot, and then use the momentum to wash you down. I thought the thing that I liked from him today was his feet. He drove better in the run game than we saw in the spring. That's something I was like to see. But like I think Trev, there was one rep you said he got beat on the edge off the snap, and then just he's so athletic, he just can recover so quickly. I saw the same thing in the run game. There was a play where they ran away from him, and so he's got to cut off the backside. And the guy initially looked like he beat him, and he just kind of worked in front of the guy and just overcame and beat him to the spot and washed him down, and they cut behind it. He looks comfortable, very comfortable today.
That play in the pass game that I was telling you about, Boubacar got him off the snap. Now, keep in mind, these are who we're talking about. It's like when Gerby's looking great, it's against Bryce Young and Keon Keeley. It's players like that. Will Black today, whenever he was in, was going against Boubacar Traore, somebody who's we've projected as being Notre Dame's top defensive end, and he got him off the snap. I mean, it was a very quick get off from 5.
Mm-hmm.
But instead of oversetting and trying to overcorrect, Will Black still stayed in his pass set lane. I thought it was great. Didn't overcommit, didn't kick slide back too far, and was able to recover perfectly fine. I mean, it was teach tape of what you do if you get beaten that bad off the snap. But again, it also helps when you are that athletic and you're 6'6", 320 pounds.
Remember when he got beat by Boubacar in the spring on the same exact type of play? And Boubacar beat him on the edge, and Anthony turned and he panicked and he lunged at him.
Mm-hmm.
And that just Boubacar dismissed him, got to the quarterback. Today, from what you're describing, and then what I saw, I don't know, it might have been the same play, but what I saw in another play where I thought the first step he didn't. I think it might have been Logan Thomas, but maybe it's Boubacar. It was on the opposite side, beat him off the snap, and he just kept sinking. And then once he got with an arm length, he kind of got his arms and just rode the guy wide. And that was good. Joe Otting was the center today when they went team. So Ashton Craig is still on modified duty. That means he was out there when they were doing like stuff on air. But when they went to any team reps, it was Joe Otting with the 1s, and then Sullivan Garvin, I believe, was with the 2s. But Joe had a nice day. I think Joe, the problem with Joe last year is he got really inconsistent with his feet and his pad level. Sometimes he'd get a narrow base and he'd kind of lunge at guys. He would kind of bend at the waist instead of bending at the knees. He had a good day today in that regard, Trev. Much more consistent with his footwork. There was one play where the D-line ran a twist and the line blew it up and just opened up this, like the Red Sea parting. And who was that the one? Was that Aeneas that ran through that?
Yeah.
And Aeneas just hit it perfectly. And so we could see it, but we're like, well, what's going on there? So we watched the replay, and they tried to slant on the D-line, and Sullivan Absher picked his up, and then Joe, I forget who it was on the defense, but he took him and just drove him out of the hole, and Aeneas just came right behind him for a big play. And that was a really big play. So that was fun to see. To watch him make that play was good. But I thought he battled his tail off inside against a very good interior. I'll tell you, the most fun I had today watching O-line, D-line was watching the inside guys battle. I'll be honest, you know what I mean? Like I thought that was some really nice battles in the run game, but inside guys battle. Matty Augustine played tackle and guard today. We saw him take a couple reps with the first team at right guard, but most of it was second team right tackle and right guard. He fights, man. He's a really tough, competitive kid. The concern I have about Matty based on today and what we saw a little bit in the spring is he's a little bit more tight-hipped than some of the other linemen. And so speed moves can give him problems because once he turns those hips, it's just not quite as what I want to see. But man, when Matty Augustine gets hands on you, Trev, he can move people. But I'll tell you, a young guy that I thought had a really good day today is Owen Strebig. I was a little worried about that because we saw he went from like 298 to like 318 on the roster. And we get out there and he looks a lot bigger. And I'm like, okay, is he going to be slower because he put on 20 pounds this offseason? He moved really well, very nimble. Still has some pad level issues because he's 6'8". You know what I mean? Sometimes he lunges a little bit, but he can sink. He can bend his knees. And he was more consistent with that today. I thought Owen looked really good today. Real comfortable, good in pass pro, patient in pass pro, where he got a little impatient this spring. Patient for offensive lineman is stay in your pass set. Don't go to meet him, because he wants you to do that. Because when you go to meet him, that's when the counter move comes or whatever. But stay in your drop, and then when he makes his move, commits to his move, or when he gets to a certain distance, then you engage. And Matty and Owen in the spring, especially Owen, would kind of get impatient with it. He'd go to meet him. And that's when the counter move beat you, or they club you out, swim or spin or whatever. Just kind of then knock your hands down, and then get on that climb around the edge. He was much more patient today, I thought. Anchored pretty well, carrying the weight well. It's good day from Owen Strebig. I thought a really good day.
Yeah, and Brian's not being hyperbolic either. I mean, there were multiple times over the course of the practice where him and I were standing next to each other, and you even said at one point, like, dude, like, I'm not even trying to watch him. He's just catching my eye.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's just, you're having a good practice when you were forcing attention upon yourself.
Yeah.
For the right reasons, and that's what Owen Strebig was doing today.
Yeah.
I'm in full agreement with you. He looked impressive.
Sullivan Garvin's going to be a dude at center.
Yeah.
He's going to be really good.
Dude.
Those
young cats.
Oh, they're huge. So we didn't get to see Ben Nichols and Tyler Merrill today during team stuff. They were on the other field, but just watching them in drills, I wanted to see them in drills. They both move well. Ben needs to work on consistency with his pad level. He kind of lifts up at the snap a bit, and he would stop his feet at times on contact. But when he did a drill right, it was impressive. Keep in mind, this is his first practice. Same with Tyler Merrill. He was here in the spring, but he didn't go through any reps. But Tyler's definitely reshaped his body. The 335 is much better weight. They are strong. They're just learning what to do. They're typical freshmen, don't know what to do yet, who didn't get any spring reps. Where Sullivan Garvin got all the spring reps, and he looked really good. He's much more advanced. Those two kids are big and massive, and Tyler Merrill moved better than moved like I hoped he was going to move today. But obviously we didn't get a chance to see any team reps. Man, that freshman class is huge. Huge. Cam Herron played guard today. And then we also, Devin Houston, I thought looked pretty good in drills. Didn't see him during the team periods. Styles Prescott had a solid day as well. Had some nice cutoff blocks on the backside, relatively solid in pressure. I got to say, I was overall, Trev, the pass pro from the offensive line was pretty solid on day one. Pretty solid. And it's not that I'm not upset with how the D line played. I just thought the O line looked really good today. I think that butt chewing got them a little locked in, and they finished a lot better.
Sometimes you need it. I mean, it's the first day of fall camp, so for those big boys in the heat, man, it's kind of like how we are on Mondays sometimes. You got to give yourself a little bit extra prep talk of like, all right, come on, we got to get this done. And when they locked in, they did it. I'm with you, though. In all seriousness, the pass pro looked really, really strong today. Again, there are things about trench play, tight end play we were brief on. We'll have somewhat of a similar thought around like linebackers. It's tough to evaluate some positions when the pads aren't on and things aren't full go.
Mm-hmm. But
from what we saw today, based on what we evaluated, the pass protection was really well done today. I agree with you completely.
Yep. Good day. Offensively, just quick wrap up. I love the competition from the group. Love the competition from the group and the business-like approach from this group. They got after it.
Yep.
Really good
The
day.
one for
We
me, final thoughts on offense. The talent is as advertised. I have
yeah.
zero questions about the talent in any room.
One guy we forgot to talk about is Mylan Graham. Uh, Good day. I thought Mylan had a good day. The he still you can tell he's still not completely as comfortable in the system at times as Jaden and Jordan and guys who've been in the system now for 2-3 years. But athletically, he looks good. Yeah, he's a good player. He's going to be fine. He had a really nice. He beat a Don Schuler. Don had good coverage, but he beat a Don Schuler on a burst corner route early in one-on-ones. Made a really nice reaching catch. The big thing for Mylan is I just need to see him compete a little bit harder in some of the tougher spots. You know, he still lets the ball come to him in some of those tight quarter situations, but it's also hard to get in tight quarters with him. So, but no, athletically, he's going to be a good player. He's going to be a good player. But we did forget to talk about him.
Brian, let's switch gears here and talk about the Notre Dame defense, recapping fall camp practice number 1 here in the Irish Breakdown podcast, brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. We just spent a lot of time diving into the offense and a lot of the things that we liked, some of the things that we saw on day 1. Quick reminder, obviously, for anybody listening on the podcast platform, that's these broken down into different segments. This was a non-padded practice today, and so it's always interesting to evaluate defenses on a non-contact day. You know, because sometimes plays look like they might go a little bit longer. Run plays look like they could go a little bit longer when you're not able to bring anybody to the ground or when you're not going full go. But yesterday we talked about how we had less overall questions about this side because they returned so much. But one of the things that we wanted to see was, are they going to start to look like a defense that returns so much? It's great to have the conversation on paper about they bring back Bubakar and Bryce and Jason Onye and all their linebackers and 4 starters from the secondary. But what were all those pieces going to look like together in the first day of fall camp? I know we just got done raving about the offense, but the defense did not disappoint either.
Yeah, look, that's as a coach, like as an offensive coach, you want to dominate every day. As a defensive coach, you want to dominate every day. As a head coach, you want both sides of the ball to have moments where they had a really good day. And when the other side does well, you want it to be because the other side earned it. So, that's kind of what we saw today. When the offense had their wins, it was usually earned. When the defense had their wins, it was earned. You know, it was flying around, aggressive. I think that's something that a lot of people are going to wonder about. Today, at least, it was very aggressive. It was also aggressive early in fall camp last year. But, Trev, you made an observation, like even in some of the zone stuff, much more comfort level, as opposed to just like, okay, 45-degree drop, work to 8, and then level off and then sit there. Just the basic zone 101. Today, it was more of a open up in your drop, look for work. Maybe you're not rerouting per se, but you're kind of dropping underneath or into that receiver's run lane, making him work around you and not just letting get a clean release up the field. You had noted that there's a couple times where CJ looked like he wanted to do it, but then all of a sudden the route gets rerouted and he's got to pump and then go somewhere else. That's the kind of stuff. Be disruptive. Obviously we're going to see the sim pressures. We saw line games today. We saw, like you said, even in zone, there was a play where that they dropped Dallas Golden into coverage, like deep coverage, and they threw a seam and he just squeezes down and breaks up the pass. We saw them very aggressive going after the football today. Offensively and defensively. I mean, we saw a play where they ran a line twist, and so the nose goes here, and then Jason Onye loops around. Actually, I think it was the 3 technique, and Jason was the nose. Loops around, and CJ's thrown to the left. Jason Onye's coming from the backside, gets his eyes right on CJ. CJ goes to throw, and Onye sticks his hand out and knocks it down. Like, very disruptive day in a lot of different. We saw linebackers like flying to the ball, getting downhill. Very aggressive day. Put it this way: if this was a full padded day, there would have been some monster hits. Luke Talich would have decapitated Ty Washington on one play if this was a full padded practice. And you know what? Good on him. That's your teammate, right? I mean, but you could see he let him know. He stopped. And he's like, "You do know." Full pads, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah. And there was a lot of that. There was a lot of That's why I say it was a good professional practice. It was days where the running backs, we've seen in the past where linebackers kind of get that little shot in. I didn't tackle him. I just gave him the forearm shiver and knocked him. We didn't see that today. But we saw guys flying to the ball, staying in their lanes, being very aggressive, and that was something that I thought was important to see from the defense. There were some mistakes. There was a couple of times where you let the big holes get opened up because they caught you in a twist, and your timing of your twist wasn't there. Hey, shocker! Day one, Notre Dame's defense doesn't have their timing perfectly down on every single twist that they run. Right, like that's going to happen. Couple linebacker fits that weren't quite as good. You're going to the gap, but you went a little too narrow, which allowed them to kind of get that stuff's going to happen on day one. A couple times you got beat by a receiver, but then there's a lot more reps where they were locking them down. Loved the competitiveness from the defense. Loved the aggressiveness from the defense, and not just the calls. Like aggressiveness to me is not about calls. You can be a quote unquote aggressive play calling group, but your players don't play aggressively. And today we saw them kind of do both. They weren't like last year. They were bringing nickel fire. Remember that first day fall? They're bringing nickel fires and safety blitzes and 6-7 man pressures and all this stuff. And we were like, man, is this Al Golden's defense all over again? And then we get to the season and they don't do that stuff. Today it was more of an aggressiveness within what Chris Ash wants to do, but it was aggressiveness with 4-man pressures, aggressiveness with 5-man pressures. It was aggressiveness playing zone. Getting reroutes, being aggressive to the football, just playing fast. That was to me more important than anything that we saw today from an actual execution standpoint. Because again, it's game one, but just you could see the mindset and you could see the comfort level these guys have in what they're doing. Linebackers playing way faster to the football than we saw for the first half of last year. Safeties looking a lot more comfortable getting downhill, getting into alleys. I mean, there's a lot of plays where, again, safeties, if this was a game, there's some running backs and receivers and tight ends who aren't feeling real good right now because Luke Talich or Bryante Johnson or Don Schuler, or there was one time, who was the line? Was it Drake? Might have been Drake. Maybe it was Madden would have lit up a couple running backs today. But yeah, there's a couple times Drake closes on a quick game where that check down probably would have resulted in somebody getting laid out if this was a game.
Madden, let me not get ahead of it because I know we're going to break down. We'll get to him. But I'm with you. Overall, I love the aggressiveness that I saw on the back end of Notre Dame's defense. Rerouting, getting hands on defenders. Like you said, I was talking to you about it in the cards. There were a couple times CJ Carr had to double clutch because he thought he was going somewhere with the football and the closing speed, and they squeezed on the route perfectly. I mean, the best way that I can explain it, giving an analogy is, when you first start driving, and it's like hands are at 10 and 2 and you want to make a lane change. And so it's like, okay, then you check behind you and then you check behind you again. Then you make sure your signal's going and then you merge over slowly. That's how the zone defense looked last year. It was very, I'm going to take my drop step and then I'm going to make sure I get to my zone. And then I'm going to get my eyes around, eyes in the backfield. And today
very
was
mechanical.
Much more fluid.
Yeah,
much more.
Well, they were looking for guys. They were looking up routes. They were, it's coaches like to say, look for work, right? And that was something that you want to see. You want to see guys looking for work, and we saw them doing that today. Much more so, linebackers, safeties, corners, all. And it wasn't just Leonard Moore, right? It'd be one thing if we're sitting here and we're talking about, boy, that Leonard Moore guy, whew, boy, he's really good. Well, duh, we knew that. We already knew that. It was Jaden Sanders. It was DJ McKinney. It was Dallas Golden. It was Bryante Johnson. It was Luke Talich. It was Joey O'Brien. I mean, it was just the whole group. They got their hands on a lot of footballs today. A lot of footballs. We'll talk about that when we get to the DB section. But anyway, good day of work for the defense overall. Let's start talking about what we saw up front. Trev, this was the best. We'll start inside. This is the best I've seen Francis Brew look in a Notre Dame uniform today.
Man.
He was good in the spring, but you could just tell there was an adjustment period for him. I mean, he was flying off the ball today. First team, so the quote-unquote first-team D-line, do not read into this. It's day one of practice. And from what I could tell, they were limiting Jason Onye a little bit today. Looked fine, but just he didn't get a ton of reps today, which was, I would assume, intentional. But, again, sixth-year senior, you already kind of know what he can do. Francis Brew, Armo Mukim inside, and then Boubacar and Bryce on the outside. I thought Francis to me today looked like the explosive, powerful kid we saw at Pitt, much more so than what we saw in the spring. Much more comfortable in what he's being asked to do. Came off the line hard. I mean, there were several times where like the running backs had to make early cuts off of him, and because he would get a push or just kind of be in the gap where it's not even that he got a push at other times. It's like he just kind of sat in a hole. It's like, you're not running here. You know, like I may not make this play, but you're definitely not coming into the B gap right now. You're going to have to go somewhere else. I thought it was a really good day from Francis Brew.
He looked like the all ACC honorable mention player that came to Notre Dame. Much more clarity in what he was doing today, which in turn turned into him making some plays. I would have been very interested to see how many plays he would have actually made, more so than the plays that he already made now if they were going full contact. But man, he looked really promising today. Very quick off the ball, extremely strong at the point of attack, and he was going against some of the stronger players on Notre Dame's offensive line roster. I mean, you're going up against Sully,
Yeah.
Knapp. I mean, Joe Otting had a pretty good day today. I mean, it was impressive. I'm with you. But my biggest takeaway, big picture from the D-line, man, is there's no trying to think of a way to put that. Like there's no like drop off. There's no like quote unquote like weak link. Like, because there were times where before you would see players rotate in, and it's like, yeah, that just that one thing doesn't look like the other. When they rotated in on the second team defense, it looked bigger. Like they were
Up the
bigger in
middle,
some
yeah.
areas.
They went from Armel Mookum and Francis Brew. Armel 6'3", 300. Francis is 6'1", 285. And the second team defensive tackles were Jason Onye at 6'5", 295, 300, and Tion Graves 6'5", 325, right? And Tion was solid. You know, he had a solid day. Nothing great, nothing bad. Jason was a little bit limited. Didn't saw Elijah Hughes kind of do what he does, plays hard. I think the two most impressive guys today, I thought inside Trev, were Francis and Armel Mookum. Armel had a really nice day. Jason had the most heads up play. That pass breakup he had on the twist was like, dude, how did he even see that? Because he was coming from the backside. But you just love the feel. But I thought Armel, this was the most fire we saw. I mean, he was the one guy on defense that you'd see after a couple plays just like start hitting himself in the head and just fired up. And I mean, he was out there like, that's what you want to see. Because like, dude, you made the decision to leave, but then you also made the decision to come back, which can be difficult. So if you're going to come back, you got something to prove. And at least for one day, again, a lot of this stuff, guys, it's one day. If you look like $1 million today, but then you don't look like it the next 4 days, then guess what? Today doesn't matter. So again, this isn't like this guy looked great today, so therefore he's going to be a first team all receiver. Take a back seat, Jeremiah Smith, Jaden Greathouse is coming. Like, we're not saying that. It's an evaluation of what we saw today. But I'll say this: if we get this version of Armel consistently, he's going to be really good for Notre Dame this year. Really good. Because the athleticism was there. He looked more comfortable using his hands to make double moves to win at the point of attack. Like a lot of times Armel would come flying off the ball. He'd hit an offensive lineman, and then you're just stuck. He'd stick to him like glue. Well, that's fine if that's what your defense calls for, but Notre Dame has not been playing in a defense the last couple of years where you want your D tackle to just be stuck like glue to the offensive lineman. You want him to get off to the ball. Well, today we saw Armel using his hands more. We saw him using counter moves. We saw him just shooting gaps more effectively, getting hands down, and then getting to that edge of the offensive lineman and being disruptive. Now, I think the offensive line did a great job when they did get beat off the ball of recovering. But the recovering means you're just not giving up a -5. You're still giving up a +1 or a -1. I thought there was a lot of disruptiveness, especially from that first team D tackle room. Now, a couple times they got caught in some twists and the offense opened up. I kind of felt like that was the timing wasn't great, but part of that was just great job by the offensive line to pick it up and open up that hole. Those guys were good. Bryce Young, on the inside, let's finish inside. Sean Sevillano looks noticeably thinner than he has in the past. And moving well. I didn't get a chance to see him actually taking reps, though. But athletically, he's always looked quick, but he looks like he's in much better shape than he's been. But this interior, this is a pretty athletic interior, Trevor. That's something that we noticed today, too. There's some really good quickness, short area quickness. Armel, Onye, Brew, Tion, Elijah Hughes. It's a really twitchy group of interior guys.
without sacrificing any sort of strength or size. That's imperative as well, in my opinion. I mean, because we've seen quicker guys along the interior before, but they're 6'1", 275. Like the fact that we're talking about the same short area quickness with guys that are 6'5", 330 almost, 6'5", 295, 6'3", 300. That's a really promising spot to be in. I'm with you with Armel. His flashes became a lot more consistent. That was a big piece for him today. Now, can you stack the consistency over days? But in previous practices, at least for me, people might have interpreted this differently, but it was like once every couple of plays, it was like, oh, there's Armel. He was a
Mm-hmm.
lot more noticeable today, a lot more
Consistently.
consistent today,
Yeah.
which I
Yeah.
appreciated. I'm with you.
I thought Bryce probably had the best day of the ends.
Yeah.
He had that one really funky gallop move that, I don't know what he was trying to do. I think he was just getting frustrated because he couldn't get around, Kirby, but he had this like thing where he did this weird, Trev saw it live and he's like, dude, what was Bryce doing on that play?
Like,
And then I watched the replay and I was like, I don't know.
when you're playing basketball with somebody and they like try to put a move on you, they do like that hop
Yeah.
thing first. That's what it looked like. And I was like,
he did used to be a basketball player, so
maybe he was trying to channel his inner. I don't know.
It kind of looked like he was trying to set up a counter move, but got a little bit too overindulged. But I thought overall Bryce had a nice day. Very aggressive coming off the ball. Got a good push in the run game. Got around very well in the twists. I just thought the O-line had a really good day. But I thought the other thing too is even when they'd get pressure, the O-line kept a body on a body, which is what you want to see. But there were several throws where CJ Carr didn't get quote unquote pressured, but you could tell CJ knew that this pocket's not going to be there very long, and he had to kind of hurry up his read, take a check down, things like that. So there was a couple plays where a route was coming open down the field, but the quarterback, even though the pocket, it wasn't like they were getting to him right away, but it was getting a push where the quarterback said, I got to get this thing out. I can't go to my third read here. I got to take this crosser. I got to take this check down right here and get this ball out. And that was something that was good to see. The run game battles, Trev, were really good. I thought there was some wins by the O-line, a lot of plays too, where this D-line was just hard to move off. They're hard to consistently move off the ball. They really are. They're very physical, and I thought that some of the I'm trying to watch one-on-ones and the run fits, but boy, I tell you that when they play with really good pad level for them. I mean, like inside that's something that I noticed a lot today. Is you did not see a lot of the interior guys on defense lifting at the snap. See them coming off flat backs, really getting into the offensive lineman. I thought that was good to see as well today. Didn't see a lot from Boubacar. He was on the other opposite side. Had that one win against Will Black. I thought Boubacar was pressing a little bit today. He kind of slipped several times because, he was really trying to overdo it and lost his footing. Keon had a real nice physical. Keon's really stout on the edge against the run. He had several really good setting the edge plays on some stretch stuff where he got outside, forced the back inside, got a good push on the defensive ends. He had a pretty solid day against the run today.
Yeah, Keanu is a player that stood out to me in individual period. I was able to get a glimpse of that before we had to move over to the bleachers, and he looks a lot more confident in what he's doing. Yeah, I talk about that a lot, and for people who might not fully understand, it's when you are able to move more fluidly and quicker. It's not fast, it's not rushing through a drill, but just when you know and understand what you're doing. It's what Keon looked like today. He's got to continue building on it. Thankfully, they don't have to go play in the playoffs tomorrow. They don't have to go play for the national title tomorrow, something they're favored to win. One of the favorites to win on FanDuel right about now. But there is a lot of signs of him moving in the right direction, which is really promising because one of the questions that we had about this team going into fall camp is what does the defensive end depth look like?
Mm-hmm.
I thought Keon had a strong start to fall camp.
Yeah. He's further along in the run game right now than he is the pass game, which is a good sign because the one thing he did show at Alabama is he can get after the quarterback relatively well.
Yep.
That physicality at the point of attack was a good sign to see from him. Logan Thomas is still thin. He's listed at 221. He was the second team end behind Boubacar today. But even though he's still thin, he looked thicker. I mean, he definitely chest out.
Filled out more.
Yeah. The weight's never going to be there. He's never going to be a 50 snap, set the edge kind of guy. but he looked good. I thought Logan had a good day, and he looked healthy. He looked like he was battling when he would go against the tackles. Really athletic. But again, he's going to get some pretty good tackles every day. And with pads not on, I think that sometimes can be advantage O line because the D line can't smash quite as much. But I thought they did. They had a solid day overall. I'll say this about the freshman defensive linemen, especially the ends. We didn't get a chance to see them in like the team periods, but watching them in drills, the two most if I was ranking the top 4 most explosive defensive linemen, 2 of them would be freshmen. Rodney Dunham and Ebenezer Tade.
Yeah.
Just looking at him in drills, it was impressive to see. But overall, on the O-line, D-line, Trev, solid day, good competitive day. Really good battles with the O-line. I would give, if you were going to say O-line versus D-line, let's just kind of have some fun with it and declare who had the edge. Not a winner, but who had the edge. I'd actually go advantage O-line.
I would as well.
But yeah. I'm happy with what the D-line did today. But I just thought the O-line was a touch better today.
Yeah, and I think you inserted the caveat earlier of like advantage O-line today in a day there were no shoulder pads, in a day that it wasn't full go. But again, it's if they were in pads, it's not like there would have been this disparaging gap where it's like, ooh, the big boys up front might be in trouble. It's definitely more of it would have been more stalemates, I think, if they were going full go today. But I would have given the edge to the offensive line as well. I'm with you there. Let's talk about the
let's do it.
The linebackers again. I feel very similarly about them as I do tight ends. It's just hard to get a gauge on a position group like that when you're not going in pads. Having said that,
I still liked what I saw.
I still really liked what I saw today, and I've been itching to talk about this since we started talking about defense, and I almost gave it away. We've talked a lot this offseason about, hey, you got your 5 guys back in the rotation. Drake's back, Jaden Osbury's back, Kingston's back, Jalen Sneed's back, Madden Framo's back. What's the rotation going to look like? I'm going to tell you guys right now, number 19, Madden Framo, is trying to make some ripples in that rotation because, dude, he came to play today, and it was awesome to see.
There was one play. Was it Kedron that ran him over?
I think it was Jonas.
Was it Jonas? There was one play where either Kedron or Jonas ran Madden over because he was flying downhill and he kind of started to slow up, because it's not full contact, and they trucked him. That was the one win against Madden Framo today. He was flying downhill. I'll say this about Madden. He's probably got the best feet and the best agility of all the linebackers. We did see a little bit of Kingston today, but not a lot of Kingston today. We saw some of Kingston with the number 2s. I think it was 7-on-7. I don't remember seeing him in team. I only remember seeing him in 7-on-7. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Did you see him in team at all? Or the
no,
run
he was
fits
not
at all? I only saw him in 7-on-7, which makes sense because you don't want him in the stuff where there's chopping and things like that.
I noticed today that the people that they were okay with going in team had like actual football pants on without pads in it, and the guys that they weren't were in shorts.
It's interesting. Yeah,
I did notice that.
But you just look athletically, you could make a case that today that Madden Framo was the most impressive, just pure athletically, just quickness, explosiveness, burst, getting downhill. He looked really good. And that's not, Drake looked really good today. Jalen Sneed, somebody people asking, how did he look with the extra weight? I don't think he has extra weight. I think he's about the same weight he was
like
last year, about 227, 228. He looked good. Flew around pretty well. Jaden Osbury had a great day today. Linebackers as a whole looked like you'd expect this group of linebackers to look. They really flew around, really impressive with how they ran. Madden was really aggressive. There were several plays where I saw it from Drake a couple times, from Jaden a couple times, and then one of the better ones actually came from Jalen Sneed. They ran a twist, and the offensive line picked it up really well, and Jalen Sneed was going this way into look like an A gap. He saw that the D tackle got sealed, and he quickly jumps into the B gap, and just running back thinks there's going to be this giant hole. He cuts back, and all of a sudden Jalen Sneed pops out, and he's just right there to blow it up. There was a lot of that today. from the linebackers. There's a lot of plays where it's like, oh, I think this might be there. And that's what this defense is different, because it's not so much you've got A gap, you've got B gap. It's you have this, but you got to fit, you got to make the D lineman right. And we saw that several times today where we didn't. That was one of the issues they had last year at times, was that comfort where the linebackers would do it, but they do it late and they do it for a 5-yard gain.
Yep.
Today, they were reading quick and getting to it. Now, part of that was how aggressive the D-line was getting off the ball, because what was happening last year is they'd come off the ball, stalemate, just sit there at the line. And the linebackers are trying to fit off that. I can't fit off you if you're just sitting in a spot, but because of how aggressive the line was, then the backers could diagnose a little bit quicker and then adjust if they had to get. So if a D lineman got blocked or got sealed into a gap that didn't necessarily look like his, it was happening quick because of how aggressive the D line was, and then the linebackers could fit properly off of it, and they did a really good job of that. I thought the best rep we saw today from a linebacker, though, might have been from Jaden Ausberry.
Was in the pass game,
He ran step for step. Like, listen, y'all, I've been praising Bubba Frazier nonstop since he arrived at Notre Dame. Other Notre Dame players have been praising Bubba Frazier, and what are they praising for? Speed. Kid ran a 10.5 in high school. He can run. They ran a corner route, a boundary side corner route, where Jaden Ausberry was stuck in coverage on Bubba Frazier, 4 versus 4, and Jaden was step for step with him and then broke up the pass. I thought it was Briante. I was like, that wasn't Tay. He's too thick for that. That's how sticky he was on that play. Jaden Ausberry had a really good day today.
That backs the point that we were talking about at the start of the defensive segment. It was a much more aggressive day from them. Last year, Ausberry would not have gotten hands on a faster receiver like Bubba Frazier. And this isn't us saying that stride for stride, Jaden Ausberry is now fast with Bubba Frazier because he stayed in coverage. But what he was able to do is he got hands on him, was able to reroute him, throw off Bubba Frazier's timing.
Beat him to the spot when he opened up the run. He never let Bubba get full speed. That's the whole point. You cut him off, you get in his way, you don't jam him, but you run with him. He's now trying to get past your hip. He can't do it unless he wants to go out wide, and now you've taken him out of bounds. It's perfect coverage. And then you also have to be athletic enough to then still run. It was perfect. Perfect. You're like, you talk about teach tape earlier, Trev. That was how to ride the seam as a will linebacker.
Yeah.
101.
Yeah.
Like, that's the rep you show. It was it was really fun to watch the linebackers fly around today. There's a lot of times where it looked like somebody was about to get free, somebody's about to get the edge, somebody's about to break through a hole, and then out of some Drake or Jaden or Jalen or Madden just flies out of nowhere, and you're like, ooh, that hole closed up real fast.
Yeah.
Real fast. Yeah, they had a really good day today. This group is everything that you hoped it would be on the first day. But I think I probably watched Madden the most just because he's the least proven. And that's why we came away so impressed with Madden, is we had our eyes on him a lot. But there were also times, Trevor, where I don't know that we were watching him per se, but he made himself noticeable. And that's how Jaden Ausberry did. Guys, I will tell you this. I didn't intentionally watch Jaden Ausberry once today because I already know what Jaden Ausberry can do. But Jaden Ausberry just kept, so to speak, jumping into my screen, right? Like my vision of what I'm looking at, and I'm studying this guy, and all of a sudden, no, there goes 4 jumping right into my screen, making a play. Like, I thought Jaden had a pretty good day today.
Yeah. Yep.
There might have been a few more big runs today if it wasn't for the linebackers.
Oh, absolutely. It goes back to the offensive line handling business up front. But if the linebackers were not who they were, I think the offensive run game would have looked a lot different. I'm with you. Teddy Rizak also got a couple reps with the one or with the 2s.
He's really athletic.
Yeah, he is, man.
Yeah. Days like today are built for Teddy because it's not so much the physicality that you need to see. You're not going to see that, and that's still the question with Teddy. But athletically, he's right there with those guys. Like, no doubt. Yeah, no doubt. Thomas Davis Jr. looks different than he did in spring. He only gained I think they gave him 3 pounds in the weight room, but he looks different. He had some body reshaping this offseason. I didn't get to see him do a whole lot, but he looks good. No Ko'o Kia for those who missed the injury update on the board. Ko'o is out right now, so he is not practicing. Didn't get a chance to see much of Jacoby Clapper today, or I didn't see any of Jacoby Clapper today during drills. Trev, did you get to see him at all? It was tough because where they made us stand, the linebackers were in the one spot where it's really hard for us to see them during drills. So that's why we don't have a lot from them as far as what they look like in drills. I could see Madden during some of the drills because he was doing some special teams drills that we could see, and that's where you saw a lot of the explosiveness and speed and stuff. But the rest of what we saw was during the team stuff, and those guys were down with the other team. Let's talk a little secondary, Trev. This group is very good. Very
Talked
good.
about the linebackers being as advertised. This secondary is also as advertised. We'll get this one out of the way. We've already talked about him ad nauseum so far throughout this show. Leonard Moore looks the part of the best cornerback in the country. I mean, that dude was locked down today. I don't know if I think he gave up all reception on a slant to Micah Gilbert.
Mm-hmm.
Outside of that, he was targeted 5 times. The other 4 times was a PBU. I mean, it was very impressive. Very sticky coverage. Length was on full display. It is on first days of camp, you expect to see your dudes come out to be dudes on offense. We talked about Jordan Faison and Jaden Greathouse and CJ Carr and Knapp and Lambert. On defense, it's the guys like, the Drakes of the world, the Leonard Moores of the world, people that have been here, done that. You're the anchor. You're the foundation. Leonard Moore was exceptional today, to the surprise of probably
No
nobody.
one. No one. I thought I mean, I think there was one point in time, Trev, he got targeted, I believe we counted 5 times, and he broke up for the pass. Broke up for, not the ball was incomplete. I mean, he literally got his hands on 4 of the 5 passes thrown in his direction. Now, why are the quarterbacks throwing at him? Well, 2 of them were during like one-on-ones and they were during one-on-ones and 7-on-7s. You're going to throw the ball. You're not going to hold the ball in those periods, and he looked really good, just comfortable, moving really well. He's always moved really well, but yeah, he looked like you'd expect the best cornerback in college football to look. We'll need to spend a whole lot of time on that. He is that dude. Let's go. Let's stay on the outside, then we'll move inside, then we'll move back to safety. Trav, as we wrap this up, Jaden Sanders was the starter at field cornerback. Strong, like physically. That was one thing that was reported in our intel piece from some of our sources is he's a very strong player, and you could see that today. When he gets hands-on, he's really good. A smooth athlete. Looked a lot more comfortable today, I thought, than we saw in the spring. Just you could tell he just has a better sense of what they're doing defensively. At Michigan, he played off coverage all day. I mean, it's just cover 3 all day. So we didn't get to see him play a whole lot of man coverage at Michigan. He wasn't, I didn't think, super comfortable with it in the spring. I mean, you remember him getting beat by Micah Gilbert in the blue gold game because, again, I just don't think he's super comfortable with it. Looked way better today in that regard. I still have some questions based on today about the top end speed, but it's hard to, there aren't a lot of routes you can do to kind of get to that, and you're going to need time to get to that. But I thought there were some really good things from him today. I thought he looked a lot more comfortable than we've seen. A lot more comfortable.
Yep, a lot more comfortable. Intel is definitely confirmed. He's a very strong player. The defense, I thought, also did a pretty good job of not putting him into many positions where his long speed could have been a factor in any sort of way, which I thought was really good. But I'm with you on Jaden Sanders on the outside. It's also our first chance to see DJ McKinney in a Notre Dame uniform. I keep forgetting that he's number 2.
Yeah.
I was watching the cornerback, like where I was standing during Indy period was with the DBs. Like I was in that same corner of the end zone. I was like, who is number 2? Because he moves real well. I was like, oh yeah, that's DJ McKinney, and he looks the part. Now there are some things that he's going to have to continue working on, more football specific. When they got into team and 7-on-7, there are some things that he has to work on with his game specific to Notre Dame's defense, but just athletically, very smooth, very long. In person, his arms are long, dude. So he physically impressed me today, but he has a ways to go.
Yeah. He'll get caught up quickly. You could even see it as the practice progressed. I mean, like the play where Cam beat him, he just got his feet twisted up. Like he's just not real clean and crisp. There was a play where let me see if I can find the rep here, but there was a play where it was Mylan Graham ran an out cut on him, and he was open out of the break, and the quarterback threw it with good timing. But DJ McKinney is so fast. He closed on the route and broke it up. I was like, I don't know how he got to the ball. It was a really impressive play. He is he is a really impressive athlete. I don't even want to get into like how he compares. He is a very impressive athlete. Just as you mentioned, Trev, just technically, mechanically, there's a lot of things. Like Jaden Sanders just does not get himself in trouble with his technique. He's as steady as you're going to ever see out of a sophomore, in my opinion. But DJ is the more explosive elite athlete, more disruptive on the ball today. He had a play where he closed on a seam route really well, and then another one he was slightly late getting to it, to squeeze off on it. So DJ will be fine. This is his first practice. He's going to be fine because athletically he is really, really good. And we've seen him play in big games against big, good players. But yes, that's going to be the big thing for him is really clean up the footwork. He's got to be more efficient with the footwork because when he was today, he really closes extremely well on the football. Very well on the football. Him and DJ Sanders could not be more polar opposites. I mean, they really couldn't be. Just Jaden is just smooth and strong and fundamentally sound, and DJ is a bit all over the place technically and fundamentally, but explosive athletically and just drives on the ball, closes a ton of ground. I mean, he's a very impressive player athletically. If he can clean that stuff up, he's going to be hard to keep off the field. Now you understand why my source said to me what he said about if the light goes on for DJ McKinney, they got 2 first-round draft picks at corner. That was said to me by a source inside the program. But he also said he's a work in progress, and you saw that today.
Yes.
You saw the technical work in progress. But which is embarrassing for a guy that's started 2 years at a Power 4 level to be that behind technically. It speaks volumes to how well this group was coached by Mike Mickens. It just kind of makes us appreciate how good the coaching has been and how good the coaching is. Because you had said something about Aaron Henry. You said, hey, this is the first time I think you got to really see him up close coaching-wise. And he is the philosophy of coaching emphasis. And we said this in the spring that we had heard this. You saw it firsthand. Him and Mike Mickens, very cut from a very similar cloth. The attention to detail he focuses on is really impressive, and that's going to hurt, in my opinion, a guy like DJ McKinney early on, but it's going to help him a ton in the long run because he's going to be forced to have to play a way that he wasn't in the past. It's going to make him a way, way better player.
One of the benefits of where I was standing for the defensive individual periods was I was right. I could hear Aaron Henry. He was within earshot. We were that close when they were going through drills. And I hadn't got the chance to really see that because in the spring we were up top, he was down low, and I'm sure he has this gear to him, but in the spring it wasn't get after you, rah, rah, like yelling from across the field. It was very like, hey, let's bring it in. Here's where I need you to be. These are the things that I'm looking for and where we have to be as a unit. That's how he coaches, and I appreciate that. But I got to see that up close today because even if you're trying to or not trying to, you can hear Charlie Partridge.
Oh,
you know what I mean? So I didn't have to worry about that.
And Joe Rudolph, we weren't watching the old line when he ripped his offensive line. We were over here.
We were watching wide receivers.
And everybody heard that.
Yep, sure did.
Yeah. Mike Denbrock's that way. I never hear Chris Ash. Unless he's alerting something like a place about he's alerting, he's making a check or something, that type of thing. But
I had attention to detail in all caps and underlined in my notes that I had with Aaron Henry. And it was, if you weren't right there watching him, you wouldn't have known what he was trying to coach on. It was literally like, hey, your shoulders were here. They need to be here.
Yeah.
To put you in a better position.
Very little things.
But here's the thing though.
Go ahead.
When you talk about Mike Mickens being one of the best in the business, that's the difference right there. It's not, just get it better next time. It's like, hey, here's where your shoulders were. If he cuts inside of you, you have to be here because then that's going to give you a little bit more leverage and give you the opportunity to break on the football. So that was really cool to see. And it's not that I didn't think that he did it. It's just a lot of confirmation when you do finally get to see it in person.
So the two best defensive back coaches that I've seen at Notre Dame in my time here, and there's been some good ones. Bob Elliott, the late Bob Elliott, was a good DB coach. I thought Todd Light was a solid DB coach. The two best DB coaches I've seen before Aaron Henry showed up were Mike Mickens and Mike Elko, who coached safeties on the 2017 defense. And I remember one time I was talking with Coach Elko, and we were going over a play that had happened, I think against Stanford. They'd given up a big play. And he's like, okay, look at the play. And he's like, look at how they're lined up. And I'm like, all right, cool. And he's like, the receiver was the safety was a half yard off because he didn't have recognition of the receiver was 6 yards off the tackle and instead of 8 yards off the tackle, because when he's 6 yards off the tackle, he only runs this route, this route, and this route. That's it. And they're all in breaking routes. But the DB didn't and so he's like going through this. I'm like, dude, you're talking about that little bit of thing. And he's like, yeah, because when he's 6 yards off the tackle, they run this route, this route, this route. And when he's 8 yards off the tackle, they run this route, this route, this route, and this route. Mike Mickens was that way. But it's the attention to detail. So if he's 6 yards, you've got to be right here. And on that particular play, the safety got beat on a double move because he jumped the outside move. When if he was locked into what he should have done, he knows there's that outside move is nothing because they're only going to run this, 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 and this. And Mike Mickens was that way too. Like, for example, remember the pick that Benjamin Morrison had on Caleb Williams in 2023?
Yeah.
I remember talking with Coach Mickens after that, and he said, yeah, we saw that. And he told me what game he says, when Caleb Williams rolls left, he will look for this route coming back. So I told Benjamin, stay right here, and when he starts to throw, jump it. And I went back and looked at the two games he was talking to me about, and I saw the exact thing. And I'm like, dude, that is crazy. And that's what great coaching does. And like you said, so far we're seeing that from Aaron Henry, that insane attention to detail that turns elite talent into elite production. And to see a guy like DJ McKinney, who athletically doesn't look a whole lot different than Leonard Moore.
Agreed completely.
I mean, you watch him in drills, it's like, dude, that athletically is like that. That's not a lot different. But then you watch Leonard Moore, who is a precise football player. And then you watch DJ McKinney, who's all over the place. You get 25 practices under his belt of this nonstop. Then all of a sudden that elite talent turns into elite production. That's what I like to see. Mark Zachary, a little up and down day. They had him in the boundary just because your Kari Adams isn't ready, and right now Jaden Sanders is playing to the field, and so he had some good reps. Mark is getting stronger. He looked noticeably thicker today.
Yep.
He's still just at times. Mark had an overall good day. It's just at times he's still learning the game as well. Mark's a guy that in high school just got by on being a great athlete and a great smart football player. But at times, the technique it's still a work in progress. Where Benjamin Morrison showed up, his dad played in the NFL, DB in the NFL. His dad played DB in the Pac-12, and the kid had been taught how to play the game. And he was that dude when he showed up. Mark is still a guy that's learning the game. Same with Dallas Golden. We'll talk about him in a minute. But like, it just, when he gets beat, it's usually you can go back and watch the play like, oh, did you see his feet on the transition? And that's what got him beat. And and that's what happened to him today. But overall, I thought Mark looked comfortable. He's gotten stronger, but still work there needed. But you could see the strength and the speed playing off today. And you could see the technique overall was better. Inside, I liked what I saw from Christian Gray today. Very disruptive. Him and Jaden Sanders had a breakup where they were kind of both battling for the breakup a little bit, and Christian was about to go for it, and then he saw Jaden undercutting it, and Christian jumps like this, and Jaden goes to make the play. Like, instead of them banging into each other and the ball going up in the air and the receiver maybe catching it or something like that. Really good closing on routes to the outside, and he had a great open field tackle today. Was it Nolan James, or was it Aeneas or Nolan James? I think it was Nolan James.
I think it was Nolan as well.
They threw a little swing route check down, and Christian flies to it, forces Nolan into a quick cut, and then just wraps him up for about either at the line of scrimmage or slightly behind the line of scrimmage. Very good day from Christian. Was good working on the opening up on the slot fades. I thought he was good there as well. Really good, solid day from him. I thought Dallas Golden had a great day as well. Dallas had a really good day. I didn't see the coverage, so I don't know what he did at the snap. I was looking here, but I came back to it as the ball got thrown, and Dallas was for some reason in a deep part of the field, and he closes on. I think it was it Bubba? They threw a
Yes.
seam route, and he
Yes.
closes on it and just jumps the ball, breaks it up. I thought Dallas had a really good day today. Really good day.
Yeah, he picked up where he left off in spring before he got hurt.
Yeah.
Based on what we saw today, it was impressive. He was one of the players that I really wanted to see back out in fall camp because I thought he was off to an exceptionally hot start in the spring. He was one of the players that this is a level of competition that you want to see at Notre Dame, but he was one of the players like, oh, okay, you guys are going to go bring in some portal guys. All right, bet. Let me show what I have. And he did not disappoint today. I'm with you completely. I thought Dallas Golden also had a really strong day today.
Yep. Agree. Yep. So, Trev, let's just briefly talk about the safeties. We didn't pay as much. We didn't pay as much attention to the safeties today, just because we kind of know what the first team safeties are going to do. I thought they both had good days. Adon was good in coverage, and pay a little bit of attention to more Luke and Luke Talich and Joey O'Brien. I thought Luke had a really good day. Really active coming downfield. He's not 242 pounds like the depth chart roster. I wonder if is he still listed at 242 pounds on the roster today, or did they finally change that? Trev?
They changed it, I believe.
Okay, good. I was funny last night. I was creating the roster, and I was like, yeah, I don't think Luke Talich is 242 pounds as a safety, but I thought Luke moved really well today. Very active. Probably the most 222. Yeah, they got that right. Probably the most active we've seen him in the pass game today, as far as in practice. Was very good to see that. Very active. Had a couple plays where if it was a full padded practice, he would have lit somebody up. I mean, he got downhill in a hurry. I thought he had a good day, but I thought Joey also looked good in the limited reps we saw him. He had a play. Who was it against? Let me find
Dylan
that.
Faison.
Was it Dylan Faison during one-on-ones?
Yeah.
And Dylan, he had him locked up. Dylan didn't beat him. Dylan made a cut on the inside, and Joey's transition into coverage was as good as you're going to see from a safety. And didn't grab, hands off, but as Dylan transitioned, Joey just kind of rolls underneath him, and the ball was thrown pretty well, and it like out in front of Dylan, and Joey just kind of go gadget arms it and just breaks it down. They had him a play where he was in like basically press coverage, and he opens like a corner, Trev. Like he is very smooth. He got more number 2 reps today than Ethan Long did. So, and he no ill effects from what we saw from the injury he had in the spring. Joey looked really good today. It's just kind of like when you see a guy you rated really high, you're like, you want to see that athletically he looks like what you thought he would look like. He did. We saw Kari Adams. We didn't mention him earlier at corner. I thought Kari athletically looks great. He's just very raw.
Yeah, I noticed that during individual period. Like he was a little choppy at times, but when he had clarity in what he was doing, he was very quick to the football. No questions about his overall athleticism. It's just once he gets more of that football clarity piece to his game, he's going to be moving very different.
Yeah, he is. I mean, you could see it athletically when there's things he doesn't have to think. He moves different. And Joey's the same way. Athletically, like you feel like when I was watching Kyle Hamilton as a freshman, when you're watching Benjamin Morrison as a freshman, that's how you feel when you're watching Joey O'Brien. Like this cat's different. This cat's different. And the great thing for him is he doesn't have to, there's no pressure for Joey to be the guy. Like, look, yeah, there's pressure if you want to play, you got to do this, this, and this, but he doesn't have to come in and like be the guy. It's more about like he's got some great examples in front of him to learn under. 3, in fact. Like he's coming to him at the perfect time. It's kind of like when Kyle Hamilton was a freshman. Kyle came at the perfect time because he's a great talent, but he also got to learn under Alohi Gilman and Jalen Elliott for a year. 2 of the better leaders they had. And so he played a bunch, but he also got to learn a bunch about what it's like to compete, what it's like to work, what it's like to break down film. Adon getting to play with Xavier in that regard was great for him. Breante getting to play a year under Adon and Xavier, but then of course last year getting to play with Adon and learning from Adon. Well, now Joey shows up and he gets to learn from Adon and Luke Talich and Briante, as well as play. It's really showing up at a great time. Just like Kari Adams getting to play with Leonard Moore for a year is going to be huge for him.
One of the things that I noticed too, going through individual periods, Kari Adams was in Leonard Moore's hip pocket, which I appreciated. It was like
Yes.
going through like, hey, like what did you like here? What do I need to keep working on here? That was huge. We
Yep.
talk a lot about the player led leadership on this team, and that was absolutely one of the pieces that I noticed, especially during individual period.
Yeah, agree. Let's just quickly wrap up. Trev, anything else you want to say about the defense?
No. I
It's
mean, it
really,
was
really long, really athletic, really talented. It's going to be really good. Let's quickly wrap up some special teams. Just a couple quick notes today. The punt returners we saw were in order. Number 1, Jordan Faison. Number 2, Jaden Greathouse. Number 3, Aeneas Williams. Number 4, Dallas Golden. So, yeah, we got to see that. Now, they didn't do returns today. They just fielded punts. Kick return today, we saw I thought I had the kick returners down, and I didn't see the order, but I think this is the order that I saw them in. Jordan Faison, number 1. Jaden Greathouse was down there returning kicks. Braden Robinson, Logan Saldate, and then Micah Gilbert. And Braden Robinson moves at a different speed than all those other guys.
Man.
He is so fast. So fast. So fast. So we did see that. Kicking today, I don't have the number. Sean Stiers has that. He'll go over that tonight. Spencer Porath missed 2 to the right. They weren't like bad kicks, just, getting used to your operation. Overall, he was good. It's good short, good medium, good long. I didn't think he boomed the ball incredibly well today, but he was still getting the distance he needed. He didn't miss any short, even like the 48-yarders. He didn't miss a short. We've seen him make, I think he made like 2 or 3 50-plus yarders last year. He made a 48-yarder against Notre Dame. He looked solid, real quick, efficient approach to the ball. That's what I like too. And the ball gets up. It's going to be hard to block his kicks. The ball does not have a lower trajectory. It gets up high. But you could tell there's a couple he didn't get a good foot on it today. And he missed one of those, the other one he made, but it wasn't as good. But Spencer was good. The holders today were specialists, I believe. One was a specialist, one was a walk-on defense. And it was, I believe, Trev, it was Jasper Scaife was the first team holder today, I believe. Correct?
Yes, sir.
Number 39. So he was the first team holder. And then the second team holder was number 38, Tommy Paulus, which I thought was interesting. So I say quarterbacks have the best hands. He's obviously not a quarterback, but he's the kid of a quarterback. So, maybe the good hands that quarterbacks always have, I say with 100% bias, paid off. But he was the other holder today. I'll tell you this, Micah Drescher was a little bit more inconsistent with his kick, but that kid has the absolute strongest leg on the team, and it is a place kicker, and it's not far. That kid has a cannon.
Yeah.
I'd never seen Micah Drescher kick before. It's a little bit of film, but that kid has a bazooka attached to his right hip. I mean, there's some things he's going to have to learn, but good Lord, that kid has a cannon. I mean, he kicked one from, was it like 44? And Trev, it was still climbing until the goal line. I mean,
Yeah.
He destroyed it.
Yeah. He has a leg.
Yes. Eric Schmidt struggled a little bit. He had a couple nice ones. Eric Schmidt's hit or miss. He's either going to drill it or it's going to look terrible. He had one that was a line drive that landed short of the goal line. I mean, it didn't get more than, 8 feet off the ground.
It wasn't like a 50-yard field goal either.
It was like a 30-something, 40-yard field goal, and it didn't make it to the end zone before hitting the ground. He had a bit of a rough day today. Punting, he had a rough day. Eric Schmidt had a rough day. The first team punter was Jasper Scaife, and I was blown away. Absolutely blown away.
When that segment of practice started, you were like, okay, cool. We can kind of catch our breath a little bit because we just got done like charting one-on-ones, and we were like, okay, punt. Like, let's kind of gather our wits about us. They were probably gearing up for 7-on-7. And dude, you and I both looked at each other on Jasper Scaife's first kick.
We literally said, holy crap, at the exact same time. I said it, he said it, and I think Tim O'Malley said it as well because he was like 5 feet down from us. And we all just kind of look at each other like, okay, first kick, he got into that one, and then he did it again, and then he did it again. The shortest kick he had, I think, traveled 48 yards, and he pinned it on the right sideline.
And it was a rugby kick too.
Yeah, he pinned it on the right sideline. James Rundell had a strong leg. This kid's got a stronger leg.
Yeah.
I mean, he has a howitz. I mean, oh my God. Micah Drescher and Jasper Scaife, and they're both super tall. Micah Drescher's 6'5", and then Jasper Scaife is 6'6". He has an absolute rocket leg, Trev. I was shocked. And he consistently did it. There was no like he drilled two and then missed the next two. His hang time was nuts. So I went down there and I was talking to Chuck Freebie just kind of for a minute during that period of time. And Jack Sobel from Blue and Gold Illustrated was down there. And he goes, hey, what's a good hang time for a punter? And I said, at least 4 seconds is really good. And he's like, yeah, so far the worst one he's had is like a 4.2. And he said, I had one that was like about a 5. And I was like, are you serious? I get one's like a 4.8. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not shocked. I mean, the ball just hung in the air for even the ones that he kind of quote unquote outkicked the coverage. The ball was in the air so long, I don't know that it would have necessarily outkicked the coverage. I mean, he gets height. He's not just like, look, you can kick it 70 yards and it's not a good punt because it got down there. Like there was one where Eric Schmidt kicked it 50 yards, but it was like a line drive. And I promise you, when Jordan Faison caught that ball, there wouldn't have been a defender within 15 yards of him. Where, I mean, even his deep ones where you maybe outkick the coverage, it was in the air so long that I think the coverage would have been able to get down there pretty well. He has and he doesn't have a real long approach. He gets rid of it pretty quickly. There's consistency there. I was really impressed with Jasper Scaife and Micah Drescher. I mean, just the power in his leg as a kicker. You'll see a lot of 6'5" kickers, Trev. That kid has a very strong leg. Very strong leg. So I was impressed. I thought the snapping was good, but we know that the snappers are good. I'm not worried about them. Joseph Vinci and Andrew Cross, they were solid today from what I saw. I don't remember any punt snaps being off target. I thought they all looked good.
Yeah, they were all.
So that was a good day. So we get a little special teams in there. But like, guys, we've seen some guys with strong legs. James Rundell, Tyler Newsome. I've never seen anything like what I saw today from Jasper Scaife.
Yeah, today was very impressive. Very.
Yeah.
I'm with you from him.
These sick Australian kids that they're finding that have never punted before. Just keep that up.
Before the show, I transcribed Marty Biagi's interview with the media after practice, and he said some pretty cool stuff in there about Jasper Scaife and it's the transition that he made from Australian football to American football. And he's like, look, we have a lot of confidence in him, even in the clutch moments, because of what his position was in the Australian Football League. He's used to having the ball in his hands in clutch moments. We're not really that concerned about, if backed up on the goal line and have to send one. And so it was a cool.
You can see that today.
Transcribe. Yeah.
I kind of joked. I feel bad. I was like, well, there's at least one position battle that's been settled. Starting punters figured out. We got that one because that was unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. Whew, goodness. That was fun to see. Let's do a quick wrap up, Trev, before we get to the mailbag. Quick wrap up of practice. What are your overall thoughts from today, team wise? There's a question I'm going to answer that relates to this. And, but yeah, just overall thoughts from practice.
Marcus Freeman made a comment on Tuesday about how the foundation for this team is higher because of, you bring back 3 coordinators, a quarterback, 2 captains, and you had an elongated offseason, and that's what I wanted to see today. This is not the team that has to take the field in 2 days against Wisconsin when Saturday comes rolling around. And so I wanted to see what type of foundation they were truly working with because, we heard a little bit of that last year of like, hey, we got guys back that have played now playoff games and we have the experience. And so I was like, okay, where are they going to truly be this year? And I was impressed. I wanted to see what they had to work with. And it was one of those where I was like, okay, what is the floor of the offensive line? Where are they starting at? What is every position group's starting point after the first day of fall camp? And I walked away with no overarching big concerns of like, yep, O-line great, tight end great, wide receiver great, running back we'll see, quarterback great. It was across the board. I liked where everybody's starting at. So practice number 1, that was my number 1 takeaway, is the foundation of this team is exceptionally high.
Yeah, Look, when I look at this operation, there was a question that was asked from Trev's buy-sell-hold glasses. He says, "What's the biggest difference between a BK professional practice and a Marcus Freeman professional practice?" The thing I say about Brian Kelly is it was a business approach, meaning there was no emotion, there was no fire, there was no energy. It was just kind of going through the motions. You
Yeah.
know, what we saw today, there was plenty of emotion. There was plenty of playing hard and getting after it, but it wasn't like, first day of high school practice where it's like whoop whoop chants and stuff like that. It was like, dude, we're out here to do a job. We're out here to do our business. And the job isn't just to get through practice. The job is we've got something big we're trying to accomplish today. And this is just one step towards that, right? This isn't something where we're out here and because we've seen in the past, guys are so emotional at the beginning of practice that like by the first third of practice, like they're gassed because they put so much into the rah rah, all that other kind of stuff. It's like we're out here to do a job, and the job is to become a better football team today. And that means, we're going to compete, we're going to fly around, we're going to be disciplined. And you talk about Trev, the point you made is exceptional because it's like it looked like a guys that knew what they were doing. Like, hey, we know the drill. We're all back. We've been doing this for a while. We got, you go out there and you got 5 starting offensive linemen in that first group. Well, 4 of them have started games. I mean, they've started a bunch of football. You had Charles Jagasaw out there. We didn't mention this. Charles Jagasaw out there after every rep in Ben Nichols or Tyler Merrill's ear after every rep, talking to him, instructing him on things like that. Like, so that's a kid that's not even practicing. He's locked in. How can I make this team better today? I can't make the team better with what I'm going to do as an offensive lineman, but you know what I can do? I can get in this kid's ear, and he's like, Tyler would step right, and then Rudolph would say something and walk away, and then Charles come up and he start talking to him and stuff like that. You think about Jordan Faison coaching up his backup to be better. Not like, well, that guy's going to replace me. That's what a leader does. What if I go down? You know what I mean? What about next year when I'm in the NFL? I want this place to keep rolling. It's my job to make sure that my teammates are as good as they can be, even the guy that plays my same position. You see a lot of that. There's a play where you see CJ Carr going up the offensive line after a play and he's pointing something out. It was second team offensive line. He took a rep with the second team offensive line. He's up there. He's not yelling at him. He's like, you could tell he's explaining something to him. It was very professional in a way that you want a professional practice to be. Like, you guys know what the task is today. You know what the objective is today. You know what the task at hand is today. And let's go do it. We're going to do it fast. We're going to do it hard. We're going to do it with discipline. And when we make a mistake, we get right back out there and do it again. And I mean, in the past, we've seen coaches talking trash to each other a lot. I saw 2 little fun jokes about that today. The defensive coaches got on the offense because the offensive guy, they got a pass broken up and they're like, hey, it was an incomplete pass. You guys got to get the ball, not us. It didn't see much of that, but a very focused and intense practice. And that's the difference. And that's what we saw today from this team. Now, will they be that way when they get to those dog days of summer and in about 10 days when you hit that wall? We'll see. We'll see. But for one day, it was as good as you hoped it could be. Yeah, so it was a really good day. This is what an elite team is supposed to look like in practice. And that's what we saw today. But just overall too, this team is huge.
Dude.
I mean, just like look, it wasn't that long ago CJ Carr was the tallest guy in the room. Now I think he's the shortest guy in the room. Like, I think Blake might be a tad taller than him based on what we saw today. Maybe Blake's the shortest, but it wasn't that long ago CJ was the tallest quarterback on the roster. Oh, actually, other than Anthony Rizak.
Yeah.
You look at the DBs. You've got how many DBs that are 6'1" or taller? Corners and safeties. I mean, your Mark Zachary at 5'10" looks tiny out there, and he's the only guy that's like really sub 6 feet amongst the rotation. Your linebackers are big and lean. Your D-line is huge. Your O-line is huge. Your third team O-line is your biggest line. I mean, you know what I mean? Because you got Grayson McHugh's now 305. You got 335 Tyler Merrill, 325 Ben Nichols, 315 Sullivan Garvin. I mean, it's a big, and your running backs are short, but they are thick. Your tight ends are you got a 6'6", 255-pound starter. You got a 6'6", 253-pound sophomore. You got a 6'4", 255-pound senior. Jack Larson's up over 250 now. Ian Premer, 6'6", 245. I mean, this is a big, long, athletic football team. And I would say that the high-level talent, the last time I saw high-level talent across the board like we saw today, athletically and talent-wise, was 2015. So we've said in the past, Notre Dame's got to, they're a great team. They got great depth. But what was the question we asked in 2024? Do they have the top level guys like we saw do they have the Jalen Smiths, the Manti Te'os, the Will Fullers, the CJ Prosises, the Ronnie Stanleys, the guys like that? Now, the depth is way better in 2015. But do they have those high level elite guys? And this year they have the depth, but this year it's like when you watch them play, like, okay, that's what an elite receiver looks like, Jaden Greathouse. That's what a loaded running back room is supposed to look like. That's what an elite offensive lineman is supposed to look like. That's what an elite corner is supposed to look like. That's what an elite linebacker room is supposed to look like. That's what an elite safety room is supposed to look like. And it's everywhere. And they got a 6'6" and a 6'5" kicker and punter. You know what I mean? Like, even Spencer Porath is like 6 foot, 200 pounds. He's a good looking athlete as well. Eric Schmidt's 262, 215. It's a good looking football team athletically. And that's something that stood out to me today as well.
Brian, we're taking today's show home here with a daily mailbag here in the Irish Breakdown podcast, brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. A lot of exciting things going on. First day of fall camp. Magazine came out last week. If you want to get your question answered, put MB for mailbag or a mailbox emoji prior to your submission. Lets us know to set that question aside. Super chats get bumped up to the top. You can ask questions about today's practice. Get some other questions in there as well. But if you have a question about the practice, that'll obviously get bumped up to the top, as will super chats, and I believe we have a couple of those in there.
We do. We have several. We have one from Domer fan Sully. Thank you very much. Says, great show, guys. Thank you very, very much. I love the avatar, by the way. You got the Notre Dame, the leprechaun in there, plus your name on there. Very, very well done. Appreciate that. Got a couple more super chats here. We got one from Raymond Harton, my guy. Thank you very much.
Appreciate you, Raymond. Great time to sign up for the message boards, Notre Dame fans. You will not find coverage and intel on Notre Dame anywhere else, especially not for $6.99 a month.
Especially also, Trev, since you also have the Notre Dame football preview magazine, 102 pages of nothing but breaking down Notre Dame and their opponents, getting ready for the 2026 season, and that is for members only. Had another super chat from Raymond. Appreciate you very, very much, man. I like when people make spelling mistakes or make a mistake and then they feel the need to give us another super chat to make it up. We appreciate that very much. Then we got one from OSU alum 89, and no Ohio State fan in the chat. He said, haven't been on since the spring game. I'm here for next level content. No trolling. Good luck to IB Nation, and wishing you a great season. We appreciate you, man. We appreciate you very, very much. We have several Ohio State fans in here that act with some class, and Archer. Who's the other guy that was, he hasn't been in here lately, but there's another guy that did a really good job, Ohio State fan. We haven't seen him much this summer, but we appreciate y'all. Got a couple Miami fans that we like. Yeah, appreciate y'all very much. All right, let's get started here at the top, Trev.
From Muhammad Abdi.
Our guy Muhammad Abdi. Yeah, I haven't seen you in a while either, man. Where you been?
Brian, after the USC fiasco and with the way top programs are scheduling out of conference, why is Notre Dame trying to add more potential top 20 programs in its schedule? Isn't it all about win-loss column?
I don't want Notre Dame to be that way, though. I mean, look, if I'm going to criticize Indiana for it, if I'm going to criticize USC for it, if I'm going to criticize Texas for it, then I can't then praise Notre Dame for it. Right. This is not how I operate. And that doesn't mean I may not change my mind from time to time, but I don't want Notre Dame to play a soft schedule. Now, what I would say is you've also got to not be so ridiculous with your schedule that you've got, like we saw last year, you got two ridiculous opponents in your first 3 weeks of the season, and you start 0-2 and your season's basically over because the committee's never going to give you the benefit of doubt that they give other teams in your league. So you also got to be smart about that a little bit as well. But I want Notre Dame to have to earn their keep, right? I mean, that's the thing. I don't want them to go through a schedule where they play Oregon and then the rest of their opponents are just mediocre. And that's just not what Notre Dame football is supposed to be about. Sometimes your schedule ends up that way because teams aren't as good as they're supposed to be. You look at the 24 schedule and you think, boy, that was not a great schedule, but you had road game at Texas A&M. You had a home game against Louisville. You had Florida State on your schedule. You had USC on your schedule. You had Stanford on your schedule. Well, that's not good now, but you go back to 2013, that's a heck of a schedule. If you had the 2013 version of those teams. So those things you kind of can't control. There's a world in 2030 where USC and Alabama are 6-6 football teams, and that start doesn't look as daunting. You never know, but I don't want you to intentionally do that. Just because other programs are doing that doesn't mean that you should do that. But you also shouldn't necessarily go and say, "Hey, we're gonna intentionally schedule a bunch of softies either." And you don't say we're gonna do a lot of others, unnecessarily difficult either. You need to find a good, challenging schedule because at the end of the day, that's good for the sport and it's good for fans. And there's a lot of coaches and there's a lot of ADs who don't understand that. And I'd say in some ways, Notre Dame's administration doesn't understand that you got to do right by the fans. This one, I don't know that I necessarily would say that, but that's one of my frustrating things is you should put a good schedule together for your fan base so they have good games to go to. And also you want to challenge yourself to get ready for a championship. And yeah, it worked out well for Indiana last year, but it was also the perfect storm where arguably the hottest team in college football didn't get in. And one of the 5 most talented teams in college football also didn't get in Texas, and they didn't deserve to get in, but for whatever reason, they didn't get in. And so, yeah, you had 2 G5 teams. You had 2 SEC teams that had no business being in the playoff. You had another SEC team who did deserve to be in based on what they did in the regular season, but their head coach had left. It was the perfect storm. And you had an Ohio State team that had literally lost 90% of the players they had the previous 2 years. And so it worked out well for you. Everything went right for you. You can't replicate that year after year, in my opinion. And so just because those teams do it, I don't want Notre Dame to be like everybody else. I want Notre Dame to be the standard bearers. That's what I want.
This is something that I am avidly against because the teams that are doing this are trying to just make the playoffs. They're not trying to make a run at a title. Why is USC doing this? Why are they canceling series? Why are they trying to manipulate a schedule into their favor? Because they want to be a part of something that they have never been a part of yet, and that is a college football playoff. That's why you see teams do it. Now, what was one of the big concerns about Notre Dame in 2024 is how are they going to be able to handle the playoffs and the pageantry and the magnitude of a playoff game? Because outside of playing Texas A&M at College Station, what was the most crazy environment type of football game you played? Louisville? Army and Yankee Stadium, Navy at a neutral site. I guess you could talk about USC at the Coliseum, maybe. But no, I don't want Notre Dame to do this. They already catch enough flack for their schedule, and they have 3 preseason top 25 teams, according to the coaches poll on there. And I'm being told to believe that this is the most Charmin ultra soft schedule in the history of college football ever. So this is something I'm avidly against.
Yeah. Agree. Let's get to some more questions here. We've got one from Corey D.
Brian, is this the best looking team you've seen at Notre Dame?
Top to bottom, yeah, it is. I've seen teams that can match the star power of this team. 2015 was that way. 2012 was that. 2011 might have been the most at the top star-studded team I've ever seen at Notre Dame. You had Michael Floyd, Tyler Eifert, Zach Martin, Harrison Smith, Manti Te'o. That team was so ridiculous. But obviously you didn't have a star coach, so that kind of tore things down a little bit. But top to bottom, when you include starters plus depth, there's been years Notre Dame's had starting linebackers as good as maybe Drake and what Kingston are, if you even count them as your starting linebackers. We've seen that. You've had a Manti Te'o, you've had a Jalen Smith, you had the Tranquil Coney duo, you had the great 4 guys in 17 of Tavon and Niles Morgan and Drew Tranquil and Greer Martini, but you've never seen this good at 3, 4, and 5. We've seen really good DNs, but have we seen them with this kind of overall talent? We've had good safety tandems, but this good with the Leonard Moore, with the Christian Gray, with the DJ McKinney. There's just so much talent on this team, top to bottom. There's some areas where it's unproven, but that's called welcome to college football. There's positions where guys got to step up. You look at Ohio State last year, and you lose all the guys that they lost. Well, somebody's got to step up and play well. Well, guys did. You lost Cody Simon, heck of a player. Arvell Reese steps in and becomes an all Big Ten player. I mean, that's kind of how it goes. So, um, yeah, this team is I mean, height, length, size, but it's not fat. You know what I mean? It's like guys are big, but they're not fat. And some of the bigger guys are losing weight to get more streamlined, but they're still huge. Tion Gray's down 10 pounds. Sean Sevillano's down a bunch of weight, but they're still big kids. Yeah, I mean, you've got high level draft picks all over the place. And that's what the best teams are supposed to have. That's what Oregon has. That's what Texas has. That's what Ohio State has. That's what I think Miami has. That's what champions are supposed to have is big time talent. And this team has that. Now they just got to put it all together.
100%. From Trev's Buy Sell Hold Glasses, how do you guys bite your tongue on social media when people are pushing blatant lies?
I'd love to know what you're referring to, Trev's Buy Sell Hold Glasses. If you could let me know in the chat what you're referring to, but I'm not quite sure you're referring to. Do you know, Trev? Did you see it
I
being
mean,
discussed in the chat?
It's probably nothing specific. My guess would be just in general. I brought this up yesterday. Um, I can't speak for anybody else's. I grew up with social media. This is not a new concept for me. I've been around social media since I was 9. You just don't care. If somebody's willing to put out something blasphemous on social media, that's something that they believe. It is not my job nor my responsibility to put in time and effort when I have much more important things that I could be doing to try to change their mind. That's always been my personal philosophy. Now, if it's something that's blatantly wrong about something about me or Irish Breakdown or Brian, that's something that I'll push back on. But if somebody wants to just say something about Notre Dame, it's not my job to try to change their mind. Now, if I'm feeling extra spicy someday, I might take the time to respond because it's
Some
fun on
days,
days like that.
yeah.
Some
Some days
days.
I like to destroy that stuff, but most days I just ignore it.
Yeah, it's just you just don't care.
Yeah, I also have found that some people they want you to go at them. They're trying to bait you into that. They're saying things to get a reaction from you. That's why I use the block function liberally. There are Notre Dame fans who are just complete losers on social media, and they like to go at people like me and Trev and other guys that are on that X, and they want us to respond because then they can use that for clout with their little loser friends. And I just, what's the easier thing to do? Block them. I don't care. Oh, you block people on Twitter. Yeah, you're darn right. You don't have a right to know what I have to say or the right to engage me. That's a privilege, in my opinion. And if you don't know how to act like a grown up, then I don't need to waste my time with you because life's too short to deal with stupidity like that. That's why I say, man, like some days I'll just jump on X and just feel like getting after it. Or if there's something that came up, but usually I just get on there, post my story, and bounce. Say thanks to people that say nice things and bounce. There's a lot of people that just have no life apparently, and they just like to stir up trouble. And I would encourage you guys to just ignore that stuff. I wouldn't even worry about that stuff anymore. But I'll admit there's days where I get in the mood where I just want to kind of have some fun going at a fan base or ESPN or something. I'll do that every now and then, but not as much as I used to. Because you realize you're not going to do anything. You're not going to change anything. You're not going to get into a debate with those people that says something stupid, and your facts are going to change their mind. I don't know that I've ever changed anyone's mind on social media, no matter how much data or anything I would ever prevent. They're just not going to change their mind.
Yeah. The only time I actually respond or go back at people is when I have time to do it, and I have very little free time with my days. So
yeah.
From Andrew Gilmore, does CJ Carr's arm look any better than last year? I would say he's throwing with more zip on the football. I mean, I don't know if on deep shots he's thrown it 15 yards farther than what he did last year. I never thought arm strength overall was a problem for him. Some of it's just natural progression of going from a sophomore to a junior in college. He's just a year older as a man, as a person, than just, on a football team. So, yeah, I mean, I would say so. But some of it, too, was just being able to let it loose. I mean, his arm looked just as strong today as it did on their pro day when he was, out throwing receivers by 5 yards when he was able to let it loose. But I would say on the intermediate throws, it looked like there was a little bit more pop on it.
Yep. Agree.
From Trev's Buy Sell Hold Glasses, confidence level in saying that this running back room is better than last year's.
No. I mean, if you want to talk about depth, maybe, but like, no. With all due respect, you're not going to have a running back room better than one that had 2 first-round draft picks in it. And I don't mean like first-round draft picks in like in 3 years, so-and-so was a first round. I mean, they were first-round draft picks last year. No, I don't have a lot of confidence in that. But here's the thing, it doesn't matter. They're not competing against last year's room. They're competing against the college football room, the rooms in the college football season in 2026. Do you know who else doesn't have a room as good as last year's running back room for Notre Dame? All 138 teams college football. There's nobody with 2 first-round draft picks like right now on their roster, in my opinion. So no, it's not as good as last year. What I think it'll be, and if you read the magazine, it's one of my bold predictions, is I think the production's not going to miss a beat. But that's also because I think what's around it is going to say. And he said, would it be more accurate to say well-rounded? No, I don't think that either, because Jeremiah was a big-time playmaker in the pass game when they wanted to go to him. I mean, remember the little swing? I mean, you got to remember, they had, 2 30-plus yard touchdown passes, receptions in the Arkansas game. Jeremiah Love had 2 touchdown catches against Arkansas last year. And then Jadarian ended the half with a little swing route, and he made like 9 guys miss, was causing dudes to run into each other for Arkansas on his way to touchdown. So I mean, maybe they're more voluminous this year in the pass game, but I don't think it necessarily makes them better. Just that may be part of what they go. But no, it's not going to be as good or as well rounded or anything as last year. It might be maybe a tad deeper because last year Kedron was hurt and Aeneas wasn't 100% and but I think the freshmen, I would argue, are better than like Jabron Payne talent-wise, but Jabron was a pretty good veteran. I think Jabron's going to have a real nice year at Cincinnati this year. That's a really good underrated portal pickup, in my opinion, as long as he's healthy. But no, it's not as good, but it doesn't have to be. It just has to be better than everybody else in college football, or at least in that group, and I think they have a shot to do that.
Yep, agreed. From Time Cone, can you comment on team speed on offense? Who popped as problem fast for wide receiver, running back, and tight end?
Well, look, I mean, Jadarian Price was problem fast, and he ran a 4.48. They have guys that can do that. Look, Aeneas Williams last year in his career has had 54 carries, and he's already had 3 touchdowns of over 50 yards. They've got guys. I would be willing to bet you that every single running back in the room right now, except maybe one, and I won't say who, is faster than will run a faster 40 time at their pro day, barring injury, than what Kyron Williams ran.
Yep.
And Kyron Williams had plenty of long runs. First drive of the Clemson game, Trev, you talked about in the preseason magazine. He houses it, 48-yard touchdown, 91-yard touchdown run against North Carolina. At receiver, I think Greathouse can get down the field in certain ways. I think Mylan Graham has kind of big play speed from what we've seen. I mean, Bubba Frazier and Braden Robinson have ridiculous speed. Ian Premer has the athleticism to be a big play weapon. Long way to go as a football player, but yeah, there's plenty of playmakers there. But overall team speed is very good. Is there a Will Fuller, a Jeremiah Love? No. But there's plenty of home run ability in this offense.
Yep, agreed. From Trev's Buy Sell Hold Glasses, is there a wide receiver on the roster that could go toe-to-toe with a lockdown Moore? If not, who's the closest?
Guys, there's really only 2 receivers in all of college football that might be able to give Leonard Moore problems. And that's Jeremiah Smith and maybe Cam Coleman, just because their size and speed combination. And I don't know that Cam Coleman would right now. But no. But I think there's only one roster in college football that has a guy that can go toe-to-toe with Leonard Moore, and that's a guy that we've seen go toe-to-toe with him and didn't do a whole lot on him, and that's Jeremiah Smith. So, no, I don't. Who's the closest? I mean, it's hard to say because he's only going to go against the boundary guys. So it's Micah Gilbert. And today it was Micah Gilbert and Jerome Bettis Jr. I mean, I think that Jordan Faison might be able to do some things on him in certain situations because of his quickness. Maybe Jaden Greathouse could do some things on him, and who knows? But you're going to make a play or two here and there. I mean, he locked down Makai Lemon, but Makai still made a couple plays. Beat him once, but yeah, he He's he's a unicorn.
Yep. From Fighting Irish Warrior, how do you guys prep for training camp days? What are some things that you have maybe surprised you over the years while watching?
Well, I mean, the thing, I mean, like, so, like, I prepare sheets for us to practice so we can mark down who's playing where. I have sheets so like we can chart plays and stuff like that. So we do stuff like that. I send out a game plan to the team of, hey, here's what we're looking for. Here's what you're looking at. Here's what I'm looking at. So that way it's not like we're all staring at CJ Carr. Well, what happened to the backside towel? I don't know. I was watching CJ Carr. Things like that we'll do. Uh, Things that surprised me over the years, specifics. There's been years where like this guy had a good camp, this guy had a bad camp. The only year I've ever been surprised, like in any kind of like major way, was 2016. I've shared this story before, but you knew something was wrong with that team. And I remember I went on Bill King's show and I said, look, this Notre Dame team is going to be one thing, or they're either going to figure it all out and answer all these questions and be really, really good, or they're going to collapse. Now, when I thought collapse, I meant like 6-6. I didn't even see 4-8 coming. But I remember being at fall camp that year. Number one, you're like, they're going to start the wrong quarterback. That's the first thing I thought all fall camp. And I was in the minority there, still am in the minority there. So they're going to start the wrong quarterback. And they're building a system around the wrong quarterback. But the other thing is like this team has no fire. And I remember, I think it was the first practice, maybe it was one of the first week of practice we were at. Brian Kelly, and I felt bad for him. I mean, in that, I mean, you're part of the problem, but like I felt bad for him because like he was so frustrated with how they were practicing with no energy, no emotion, lazy, sloppy. He made him run a lap. Literally made him run from midfield down to the end zone and back. And you know who finished last? Starting quarterback. That said everything you needed to know about that football team. Everything you needed to know about that football team. The fact that a head coach in Notre Dame had to make his players take a lap, basically, because they had such little energy, you're like, this is going to be a long year. That was a big surprise. I've never seen anything like that. There's times you can say, like, they may not be good here, they may not be good there, but, man, they compete. Hey, look, Clarence Lewis was not Leonard Moore. It was not Christian Gray. It's not Benjamin Morrison. But you know what you're going to get from Clarence Lewis every single day? That kid was going to compete his butt off. He was going to compete his butt off. Sean Crawford, by the time he'd had two ACL surgeries, two Achilles. Look, he wasn't the athlete he was in high school, but you know what you're going to get from Sean Crawford in his fifth and sixth year every single day? He was going to battle. He's going to compete. He's going, you know what I mean? Like that's the kind of guys you want on your football team. And when you got a team that like just these guys don't even compete, they just it's like they don't want to be out here. You have no leadership. You got to make them take a lap. That's stuff you do in like high school, JV. You don't make a Division I football team run a lap because they don't care about being out there. I mean, it's like that's the only time I've ever been like shocked in practice. Other stuff, look, someone's going to be better than we thought. Someone's going to maybe not be as good as we thought. That's football, man. That's stuff that I'm used to. I've never gone into a season as a coach where I'm like, I don't think these guys care. Like, and that's how I felt watching that 2016 team. Like, these guys don't care. And then you see how the season played out.
Yeah, I don't have as big of a sample size, obviously. How do I prep for training days? On the flip side of what Brian said, I then wait to get my outline for the day of what we're focusing on. But it's just, I mean, I make the trip up from Indianapolis. So it's making sure that I have everything. And
forgot one very important thing, but it didn't affect practice.
I know. It better not have affected practice.
Don't even say it. We were going to go partake some extracurricular activities at a local establishment involving very loud things that make banging sounds, and Trev forgot to bring his with him, so now we can't go.
Apologies there, but I make sure, for the most part, that I have everything with me that I need for practice.
He had all of his work stuff.
Yep, I did. The biggest thing that surprised me over the years, obviously, since I haven't been going to Notre Dame practices that long, just how, third year. I went to a fall camp in 24, 25, and obviously now this year. And I think the thing that surprised me the most was just how efficient this team operates in practice. There's no wasted time. Like there's no, all right, well, I'm going to go run over to the water cooler real quick. Hey, hey, can you come stretch me out? I'm a little tired, a little sore. Like, hey, take some extra time out of a drill. It's very efficient. They get done in an hour and a half what, some teams get done in 2.5 hours. I mean, it's with not sacrificing doing any certain drills. So it was very, very impressive. That surprised me in a good way. From Catfish Kelly's Dirty Plunger, Brian and Trev, who is your personal practice winner that wowed you today on offense and defense? Name one guy, please.
I'll let you take first crack at this, Trev.
Oh, on offense, the guy that wowed me was Kedron Young. I didn't expect him to look that much back on day one. I was more so looking forward to seeing what he was going to look like on practice, 9, 10, after he kind of got his feet under him. So he wowed me today on offense. Defensively, removing all of the obvious answers, because I'm kind of just wowed whenever I see Leonard Moore do anything on a football field. You know,
Fair.
um, I'd probably say Francis Brew wowed me today. He was very, very impressive. So those are my two: Kedron Young and Francis Brew.
I dig that. Jaden Greathouse was it for me. That was the one for me. There's Kedron was great. Jaden Greathouse was great. Knapp and LaGerby are special. Like they had good days today. Defensively, I like Brew. Jaden Osbury was really good today. Leonard Moore, obviously. Dallas Golden had a really good day today as well. Mad Frame had a really nice day today. Drake had a really nice day today. Christian Gray had a really nice day today. But I mean, the best guy's Leonard Moore. I mean, he makes so many plays on the ball. I thought Jaden Sanders had a really good day today as well.
Yeah,
he was another one. Really good day. That's a good. You want to be like. You don't want it just be like one very clear guy. You know what I mean? It's like you want several guys to be that way.
From Brian Van Gorder's mustache, is it fair to be critical of Mike Brown as a coach who can help develop a young wide receiver? Your proven commodities were there before him. Your best wide receiver last year was an established portal pickup.
Well, I don't know that I think that's fair. I don't know that I would say your proven commodities were there before him. Because who would that be? Jaden Greathouse and Jordan Faison. Well, let's not forget that the first game that Jordan Faison had 100 yards was a game he was actually coached by Mike Brown, because Mike Brown showed up before the bowl game started. Because remember, Jared Parker left at the beginning of bowl season to take the Troy job. They hired Mike Brown, and he actually worked with him in the bowl game, and then Jordan went out and did well. But, I mean, Greathouse and Jordan Faison were freshmen under Chancey Stuckey. And so you give Mike Brown a lot of the credit for developing them as players. So I don't think that's necessarily fair. I think who's the really talented young player you wanted to see him coach up? He had Tobias Merriweather for what, a year, and he was out. Actually, no, he didn't. Tobias left. Tobias left after 2023, and Mike Brown's first full year was 2024. So no, I don't. I mean, I don't know that I'd even agree with that necessarily. I'd also like to kind of point out, like, Will Pauling, who a lot of people in this chat love, was developed by Mike Brown. He played 4 of his 5 seasons for Mike Brown at Cincinnati and Wisconsin. It's kind of like Gino Guidugli. Like, who's the young quarterback that Gino Guidugli has produced until you know what I mean? Like, he had Sam Hartman, he had Riley Leonard. So I don't know that I'm punishing a guy for going to get portal guys. I would say he walked into a situation where maybe the talent wasn't necessarily where it needed to be, or the attitudes weren't where they needed to be. And I don't blame him for Cam Williams not being there, because I've talked to enough people that I trust that I think Cam's the reason Cam's not where he needs to be. Now, are there some things I think Mike Brown can do to coach better? Sure, of course. Well, it's easy for me to sit here in my chair and pick at those little things and stuff like that. And I think that's what a good coach should always be looking to do better. But I don't think that's a fair thing. Plus, we're talking about a guy going into his 3rd year at Notre Dame. Means he hasn't had one group of recruits go through an entire career here. So no, I'm not ready to say that yet. If things don't go well this year, then I would say, okay, then we can maybe bring that up. But no, I don't think that's fair to say.
No, I'll say this about Mike Brown, and I think both things can be true. Yes, it is fair to be critical of him, not through this lens, though, because to me, it's marked as an incomplete. Like, there's things technically that you could critique him for, but then in the same vein, you also have to praise him for some of the things that he's done. It's a two-way street. Like, there are things about this wide receiver room that are significantly better than when he took over. But if they
Yes,
want to go from good to great or great to elite, then there are things that he has to do, and this is a prove it year. But this, I feel like, is more of a conversation depending on how this season goes for next year.
agree.
From Catfish Kelly, Brian or Trevor, does Porter look as big in person as the videos show us?
I don't know what the videos show you because I haven't seen any videos yet. Gideon just sent me his a little bit ago. I haven't had a chance to look at it yet. But yeah, he's very big. He looks the part. He's every bit of 6'4", 215. So yes, I would assume he looks like that on the videos. But no, and there's not anybody else like him on the roster. We're like Miles Boykin didn't look that big when he was here because he also had Chase Claypool on the roster and vice versa. You also had Equanimeous. I mean, they're in 26-17. You had actually in 2016, you had Chase Claypool, Miles Boykin, and Equanimous St. Brown all on the same team. So, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like Gerby Lambert doesn't look as big as he might have if he was starting at right tackle and your offensive line was kind of like the 2012 offensive line, where it was a little shorter. You had Zach Martin was 6'4", Chris Watt was 6'3", Mike Golick Jr. was 6'3", and Braxton Cave was 6'2", and then there's 6'7" Gerby Lambert. But now it's like, well, he's not even. He's just your left tackle's also 6'7", your right guard's 6'7". It's comparative also, but he looks a lot like Miles. I would say Miles is probably the better comp because he's not like as thick as Chase was. I think he's built very similar, 6'5", 215, kind of athletic looking like Miles Boykin was. Yeah, he's not as thick as Malachi Fields was, but he's also a sophomore. Where Malachi last year was a fifth-year senior. I mean, maybe
Right.
by the time he's a fifth-year senior, Quincy looks well. Actually, I hope he's not a fifth-year senior ever. But when he gets to his senior year, he may look like Malachi Fields, but he's not quite there yet. Looks a lot like Miles Boykin.
How was Christian Gray's body language? Was he confident in body language?
Very much so. Very good day. Very good day from Christian. And no plays that we could see. Because here's the problem. Christian's gone into the seasons and games confident. It's when something bad happens, does he then stay that way afterwards? That's the big question mark.
Agreed.
And they didn't make any plays on Christian today that wouldn't let us test that out. So we'll see.
From Raymond Harton, what do you guys think of Joey O'Brien's weight? Will or should it be at his prime at Notre Dame? Thanks.
215-ish. That'd be fine for me. 215 and strong. Be good for me. Yeah. That would be where I'm at, Raymond.
Yeah, I don't really have a number. 215 sounds like as good of a number as any. It's just whatever functional weight he can get up to without sacrificing his fluidity, his athleticism.
Explosiveness, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he has a frame. He could be 235 if he wants to, but I don't
Doesn't mean he'll run like he needs to. Yes.
Exactly. Super chat from Beefeater ND08. Appreciate the super chat. Did you guys pick up any funny player nicknames?
No. I didn't pay attention to any of that. I'm sure there's some, but yeah, I didn't catch any of them.
No, I got nothing. Super chat from Tyler Reese. Appreciate you. Who has a better advantage as a coach? Offensive coordinator Mike Denbrock with CJ Carr as a second-year starter, or defensive coordinator Chris Ash with a second year of installing his defense?
Tyler, I think it's kind of both. I mean, honestly, I think if you're going to say who has the better advantage as a coach, I would say in this instance with what you're going with, I would say probably Chris Ash because we're kind of looking at more holistically. We're looking at a bunch of starters coming back on the defensive side of the ball. Your linebacker rotation's the same. You got two of the same starting corners, same two starting safeties, same two starting defensive ends. You've got one of your basically starting defensive tackles coming back. So there's just a lot more continuity at defense where the only big change on defense was Christian Gray going from field to nickel. And everything else is kind of similar. Where on offense, you're just talking about CJ Carr, which certainly that's a huge advantage. But your offensive line is a little bit remade. You only got one receiver that was really part of the rotation last year coming back since Jaden Greathouse got hurt after 4 games. Your tight end room is unproven. Your running back room is unproven. So in that regard, the advantage you get from getting your quarterback to return is not quite as great as it is on defense. We have so many other players returning. Now, That's referring to game one or practice one. By the time we get to the season, I'm not as worried about it because I think those skill players will be fine and the offensive line will be fine. But if we're talking about like kind of going into year two, I think there's a lot more of we know what this group can do. And this is what we talked about yesterday, Trev. We know, looking from Notre Dame coaching standpoint, we know more about who we are on that side of the ball with the defense than we do on offense right now. And that's why I was kind of maybe so encouraged about the offense. Like, would I have been as excited about the offensive practice today if the roles were reversed and the defense won as many battles they did with a bunch of new guys and the offense had all their starters coming back? Probably not. So part of it is expectation. Part of it is I expect the defense to do the things that they did. I was not necessarily expecting certain guys on offense to look as good as they did, if that makes sense. So some of it's expectation. And where I expect, and that means what that means, where do I expect them to be on day one? I expect the defense to be a lot further ahead than the offense on day one as well. So good question, Tyler. Thank you for the super chat. We're going to
It's kind of like last season getting excited about the running back room. It's like we knew what we were going to see from Jeremiah and Jadarian. Whereas that's how I feel about the defense. I knew what I was going to see from Leonard Moore today. I'm not saying I predicted him to get targeted 5 times with 4 PBUs, but to varying degrees,
but you're also
I knew
not
what
shocked
to
by
expect.
it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But there were things from the offense today where it's like, okay, they got something cooking.
Yeah.
Super chat from Garth Cassidy. Appreciate the super chat. Brian, best preview magazine since the old days, Irish Sports Report.
Thank you, Garth. Appreciate that.
From Catfish Kelly, Brian, do you think Joey O'Brien would be ready to play big minutes if an injury happened?
I mean, it's early yet, but athletically, talent-wise, based on what we saw today, yes. Would he be ready to do that? Like Trevor said earlier, if they had to play Wisconsin in 2 days, maybe not. Do I expect him to be ready should something happen and he has to play on September 6th? Yes. Yeah, I am. He's the one freshman DB that I think is ready to do that right now.
Yeah. Yep.
Here's the freshman that if you had to go out into week one right now, and we're basing this off of one practice, freshmen that I look to me today like they're ready to go play. Like they're going to be, not that they're ready to go play. Nobody's ready to play in 2 days. Not Notre Dame, not Ohio State, not Bama, not anybody, right?
Right.
But guys that we think by the time we get to September 6th, this kid's going to be ready to play based on just on what we saw today, not spring, just today. Joey O'Brien on defense. I would say Jonas Walton on offense, Bubba Frazier on offense, Braden Robinson in the return game. I mean, just get that kid the flipping ball. And then I'd say, I mean, dude, if Micah Drescher was this version of Micah Drescher was on the roster last year, I'd be like, dude, that guy's going to be the starting kicker by the time we get the first game.
Yep.
Dead serious. And then obviously Jasper Scaife, who's a little bit of a different type of freshman. He's 21 years old and he's about to be married, but it's a little bit different situation. But like he looks like you'd hope it. He looks like you'd think he would have looked as a 21-year-old that had been at Notre Dame the last 3 years. That, you know what I mean? Like it's like, oh, he's 21. Yeah, he's 21. He's never punted before. Like he looked like a 21-year-old that's going into his 4th year as the starting punter at Notre Dame. That's how good he looked today. It was ridiculous. And then not just the height and the depth but like he was placing it, Trev. Like
he looked
even
comfortable.
Whenever the punt returners had to move, it was either moving it was moving back, but it wasn't like they had to run way over there to go catch a punt. He kicked it right at them, just over their heads. It's ridiculous. It was funny when they did the first two. And they were like lined up like, 40, 45 yards. And then the third guy gets up, I think Dallas Golden gets up, and he goes back like 20 yards. They moved him back like 20 yards. And it's still over his head.
Mike Brown was the coach back there. Did you see him? Mike Brown went.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
It's like, it was great. But Rodney Dunham's going to get there. There's other guys are going to get there, but we just didn't see those guys today. But of the guys that we saw today, that would be the group that today looked like, by the time we get to September 6th, they're going to be ready to play. As long as there's no physical setbacks, no injuries, things like that.
Agreed. From J. Melvin, Brian, compared to the team's first fall practice last year, did this one look better or pretty much the same?
Less mistakes, more
Yeah,
disciplined. I don't think athletically it's a whole lot different than last year. I mean, you got to think about first day of fall camp last year. They looked pretty good off. I mean, you had Jeremiah Love, Dorian Price, Malachi Fields. You look Eli Raridan. You look pretty good last year. I think the line's bigger and more athletic than it was at this time a year ago. Offensive line, your quarterback, you had talent, but you had guys that were kind of still uncertain of what they were doing. Defensively, Tay Johnson had a great first practice last year. Had 2 picks to CJ. You had Leonard Moore. You had Christian Gray. You had Devontae Smith. I mean, Drake Bowen, Kingston. I mean, you looked pretty darn good last year. I think one thing that's different this year is it's the depth is even that way now. A little bit even more depth in certain spots. It's a little better than it was last year. The offensive line looks bigger than it did last year. But just a far more disciplined practice. Not as many mistakes, not as many coaches just jumping down guys' throats for not giving effort or not being locked in outside of Joe Rudolph. And then to see the response from the O-line after Coach Rudolph got on him was like, that's what you want to see. You don't, as a coach, you don't want to have to jump on your team because you want them to be locked in and ready to go. But when you get on them, you want to see them respond to it, not roll their eyes. And, and they came out that next drill and got after it. So, yeah, I mean, I think that was a big thing, just more discipline and based on how they were last year. But it's a deeper team. I'd say there's more depth of talent. And the freshman class adds something. Like they add something to that conversation as well.
agreed.
Especially size-wise. It's a
That's
long,
the one
massive
thing
freshman class.
from in comparison to last year is like I think physically they look more impressive. Like top level talent, you could argue is absolutely the same for all the players that you mentioned, but across the board they physically more look the part of a title contending team than
Well, think about last year. You had Leonard Moore, you had Christian Gray, you had Mark Zachary, you had Dallas Golden, you had Cree Thomas, you had Devontae Smith, right? That was your secondary. Carson Hobbs. Now it's you still got Leonard Moore, you still got Carson, you still got Christian Gray, you still have Mark Zachary, you still have Dallas Golden, but then you've added DJ McKinney, you've added Jaden Sanders, you've added Aiden Pouncey, you've added Chaz Smith, you've added Aiden Kari Adams, and it's like, dude, this is a safety. You got Tay back, you got Adon back, you got Briante back, I should say, excuse me. You've got Adon back, you've got Luke back, you've got Ethan Long back. You lost Jadon Blair. It's a bummer. But you replace him with Joe O'Brien. And so it's like, to your point, Trev, it's like, yeah, they're actually deeper and even more athletic than they were last year because they've got everybody back except Devontae Smith, Jalen Stroman, and Cree Thomas and Carson Hobbs. Right? I mean, of guys that play Ben Minnick, guys like that, Tabron Benny Powell, you replace them with DJ McKinney and, Kari Adams and Joey O'Brien. I mean, it's like, it's impressive.
from Ballpeen Shillelagh, if not already asked, how would you describe Greathouse's ceiling? It seems that a lot of the fan base is strangely low on him.
Yeah, I don't get that. It is what it is. What's his ceiling? His ceiling is that of an impact 1,000-yard receiver. He's just got to be able to put it all together and stay healthy. I mean,
We've seen his ceiling.
no.
Penn State, Ohio State, like we've seen it.
And those aren't the only games he did that. I mean, he was great in the first half against Louisville in 2024. He had a huge third down conversion on the game-winning drive against Texas A&M. I mean, it's not like he took the year off and then all of a sudden blew up. He's not Timmy Smith or Larry Brown. Guys that had like Super Bowl MVP performances and you never heard from them before, you never heard from them afterwards. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't that. But to your point, Trevi, those weren't accidental performances.
Right. Now, the flip side of that coin, because let me insert this caveat by saying I am also high on Jaden Greathouse. But we are also talking about games from 2 seasons ago. We also can't ignore that fact. This wasn't from the playoffs 8 months ago.
Right.
This is from the playoffs 16 months ago.
Right.
So we also have to be willing to have that conversation too.
But that's a different conversation than he played all last year and didn't play well.
100%.
He didn't play much for whatever reason. When he was targeted, was good, but only played 4 games, and then he was out. It's a different animal than like he didn't build on the performance with doing this or that. So it's like so Trev's point, like Yeah, he's got to prove he can stay healthy. I think that's a fair thing to bring up with Jaden Greathouse. Can he stay healthy for and be a consistent contributor? But that's not ceiling, that's floor. I think the question with Jaden Greathouse is what's the floor? I am shocked that there's any question about what the ceiling is. The ceiling is that of the number one receiver on his team and an impact player that can do a lot of different things. The floor is a guy that disappears for a month, versus a guy that can go out in the semifinals in the title game and make Caleb Downs look like a fool. That's pretty
Agreed.
good.
From Jay Melvin, Brian, do you think the interior will lead the charge on the D line? I don't want to crap on the edges. I think they'll be really good since they're talented trees, but I think the interior will be best.
No, I don't. I don't agree with this. I don't. It's not because I think the edge will be the best. I think it's going to vary from week to week. I think they're both going to be really good, and I think there's going to be weeks where the DNs dominate. There's going to be weeks where the D tackles dominate. But on the whole, I think the unit as a whole is quite good, and so that's. I think it'll be both. I think it'll be both. I don't think it'll just be one. It'll be both.
For sure. From Irish 0687, would you limit any physicality this fall camp with the Stars this year to avoid injury, or is that not worth it in the long run? Does the staff even think of that, or do they go full bore?
They think of it. I promise you, the staff has thought about how do we treat Leonard Moore in fall camp. How do we treat Jaden Greathouse? And I know for a fact they've thought about that with with Jaden Greathouse. How do we do that with Jordan Faison? One of the best things I saw today made me so happy. Jordan Faison runs a deep route, misses him, and he comes out, and Cam Williams jumps in and takes the next 2 reps. I was like, this is so great. I'm so happy. Because like last year, he'd do it, he'd run all the way back, and he'd take the next rep. And it's like, what are we doing here? Like, and they would do that in games too. You've got to be smart about when, and it's got to be like, hey, you're still practicing today, and you're giving me everything you've got today, but I'm going to play you less. And then maybe in a couple weeks, you give him a day off to let him, a guy, you give Drake Bowen a day off in 10 days, and then on a day 11, you give Leonard the day off, and then day 12, you give it Don the day. I mean, there may be things like that, but you've got to make sure that you set the foundation first in the early and fall camp. And then you get into some of those, okay, as we get into the dog days of camp, do we need to take a step back with them, or do we take a step back with everybody? Like, hey, we've been going hard the last 3 days. They've been practicing great. Their focus is there. The intensity's there. We're getting a ton of good work done. Let's take a step back tomorrow. We were going to be full pads. Let's just go uppers, or let's just go helmets, and let's get a day of mental work and more. Let's make sure we get alignments right and pull back off on them that day, and then ramp it back up. Those are all things that I think Marcus Freeman will look into. But the reality is you can't do that stuff until you've established a certain expectation for this team that can only be established by proving and demanding it, and then pushing them to that and not being happy until they're shown that they can be that. Got to be real careful of that, because remember they did that with Anthony Knapp and Emil Wagner in last spring, and neither of them played a ton in the spring. They'd get some rest during fall camp, and what did they look like in the opener against Miami? They weren't ready. They physically weren't ready, and I think that was a bit of a lesson learned. But yes, you'll look into those things. I mean, so Irish 0687, very good observation. You will look into those things. You just got to be smart about it. And then decide, like, maybe we don't need to give Leonard the day off. Maybe we need to give everybody the day off.
Sure.
But part of that's like, what's our workload? You start looking at things like, those like, I don't know, they call it the brawl things that they wear. The time you'll look at those, say we're all down a percentage, like they're all down big, like the legs are going. And then you get the trainer, you get them. Are we at that camp part where we got to push them through it? Or is it a thing where we need to pull them back and maybe rest them a little bit? Those are conversations you have. And Marcus Freeman, from what I've been told, has always been very old school in that we're going to practice hard, but also very new school in that he listens when the training staff or Lauren Landau's staff says, hey, listen, looking at these numbers, we've now had 3 straight days of declining RPMs or whatever. We need to back off. You know what I mean? For a day, and he'll listen to that and he'll take that and respect that. And I think that's where that old school mentality of the former Ohio State linebacker blends with the guy that still is only 40 and embraces the technology that's in the game the right way and says, okay, let's pull it back today. And I think that's where you got to be. And you got to find that right balance. And that can be hard to do. I think with this team being a lot more experienced than last year's team in a lot of spots, uh, leadership being more solidified, you can be better with some of those things.
From Tyler Reese, how far off is Dallas Golden from cracking the starting lineup?
Not very. I mean, if it wasn't for the presence of Christian Gray, we'd be talking about Dallas Golden being a potential breakout star for Notre Dame this year. And if Christian gets hurt again, or if Christian falters, then I mean, I have no problem putting Dallas Golden in the game. And some of the people that I talk to inside the program feel the same way. People that are excited about what Leonard's going to do, or about what Christian's going to do. You know what I mean? Like they're excited about what Christian's going to do. But they also know that if something happens to Christian, who's missed games each of the last 2 years, and he missed the Louisville game in 2024, right? Wasn't he out the Louisville game and Leonard started in this place, and then he missed 2 games last year. So there's a lot of confidence that Dallas could step into the lineup and be good. And then also that Dallas will push Christian to make sure that Christian is locked in because, hey, man, you can't take this time off because we got number ones pushing hard. So I was very encouraged to hear some of the offseason stuff, Tyler, that I heard from the sources about Dallas Golden.
From Raymond Harton, is it a coincidence that the Big Ten and SEC all of a sudden decided to be in favor of the Save College Sports Act one day after Notre Dame and Ohio State announced their 17th and $20 million patch deals?
That's probably more of a coincidence. I think it had to do with some language that the committee was willing to, or the Congress was willing to change in the PSCA deal, right? Protect College Sports Act. Expanding allowing them to expand conferences up to 19 and some of the different things, a little sharper language around some of the cap stuff and different things like that. So I think once they got commitments from that, and then look, no matter who the president is, whether it's Donald Trump, Joe Biden, Donald Trump, Barack Obama, George Bush, going all the way back to Reagan of my lifetime, when the president properly uses his bully pulpit, you need to kind of think about like how hard do we want to push back on the things we're pushing back on. And there were starting to be some things coming from the White House about, hey, if they don't pass this, I'm going to then get involved. And I think that was kind of like, okay, we've got a lot out of what we wanted. Now let's move forward because we don't want to get into this kind of thing. And so I think that was another thing that was part of why they pushed it to the very end and then finally said, okay, we agree. But they definitely got some concessions that they wanted. And I still haven't seen the full new bill. So I won't say whether I support the new bill or not because I haven't read it yet. So we'll see. But yeah, I think there was just a lot of those things kind of starting to line up. They got some concessions. There were starting to be some very big figures that were starting to say, hey, you need to get this done. And I think that all those things kind of came together to say, hey, let's do this. And they were also facing a deadline. If they didn't get it done by that day, then it wasn't going to get voted on in August, and that was not going to go over well. I mean, look, there's an election in November. Some of these guys are up for re-election, and in this, I don't know that it should be, but for a lot of people, this is a huge deal.
Sure.
And so I think there's some of that. There's some of that as well.
From Spencer, resident Miami fan in the chat, is there a timetable for Porter's full return? I imagine the ex-receiver will be Micah or Cam until he is full go, but it's a loss if he can't get the ball rolling on the position battle.
I agree. I don't know when the time. We have not been given a timetable. We just know that he's on modified duty. He didn't take any reps today. I don't know if that means in a week he's going to be out there, 2 weeks. I honestly don't know, Spencer. We're as much in a holding pattern on that as you are, and I agree with you. It's a loss if he can't get the ball rolling in fall camp. Now, listen, it's a 16-game season, and unlike last year, they don't play Miami in the opener. They don't play A&M in week 2. They don't really get into the meat of the schedule till the middle of October. So, I mean, if you don't get him back until October 1st, you get a couple games before you even play BYU because you play what? You play Stanford on the 11th, and then you play North Carolina on the 4th. Am I correct on that, or is it the 10th and the 3rd? I forget if it is
It's the 10th and the 3rd because October 17th is when we played.
17th, right? Okay, so you got. I mean, if he doesn't come back till October, you got 2 games of warm up before you got BYU. Then you've got a bye, and then you've got Navy, and then Miami. So I mean, there's some time, but yeah, that'd also be a lot of missed opportunities for him to really grow and develop, and so it would kind of stunt what you think the expectations are. But I'm at the point now where I don't know that I'm expecting a whole lot from Quincy Porter this year, just because we haven't seen him, and I'm going to kind of hold expectations until he gets back out there. But that's kind of where they're get that figured out.
From Jason Rose, assuming they all declare, Notre Dame could have 4 linebackers taken in the 27 NFL draft. That's an insane group.
Oh, yeah, I agree. I mean, that could happen. I hope it doesn't happen. I mean, I'm kind of in the mode now where I'm kind of hoping we see like a Jaden Alsbury, Mad Framo, or Mad Framo, Kingsville Amasa duo next year to start. That'd be really nice.
Yep.
That'd be really nice. But, yeah,
there's 2 guys that I'm confident in saying go. I mean, that's Drake, and then obviously Jalen Sneed has to.
Yeah.
But you will not hear me complain if all 3 of Osbury, Framo, and Kingston.
I think if Kingston comes back healthy and is the player we think he can be, I do think he'll probably go, but that's an unknown also. We don't know what he's going to be this year.
From Catfish Kelly, do you think Sneed will have a huge jump in production after weight gain? And did he look like he still had twitch?
Still definitely has twitch. I don't think he looks any different than he did last year.
He made his big jump in weight gain last season.
Right.
So like I think he's either a pound above or below where he was at in the spring. So I mean he's coming off of his best spring and his arguably his most consistent season as an off-ball linebacker. So from Catfish Kelly, since Kedron Young was a player that popped, do you feel he will push to be the man by playoff time? That would let Williams flourish as third down back like playoff year.
I think even in that scenario, do I think he can do that? Yes. I think he could. The way he looked today, I think Kedron could be ready to go by September 6th. Is that when the first game is? So I think he could be ready then. I mean, he looked great today. Now, let's see how he looks on practice 9. You know what I mean? When those heavy legs hit, and maybe, we got to see that. But no, I think Kedron's, as long as he's healthy, he's going to help day one. But even if he's RB1, Aeneas Williams doesn't get relegated to third down back.
Right.
He'd be Jadarian. Like if Kedron becomes Jeremiah, then Aeneas becomes Jadarian and the third down back. So I think best case scenario for Kedron, in my opinion, is it's RB1, RB1A, 1A, 1B. Where it would look a lot more like Audric and Logan in 2022 than it would Jeremiah and Jadarian. But look, part of the reason we were so excited about Kedron today is because we weren't sure what to expect. Don't get it twisted, though. Aeneas looked really good today. Like, it's just sometimes the excitement can sound good because a guy was an unknown. Hey, I didn't know what to expect from him. Why did we talk about Jaden Greathouse more than Jordan Faison? Is it that he was way better and Jordan was just no, Jordan was Jordan. He was good. Jaden, we were uncertain of. We hadn't seen him since the Arkansas game, really, like out there full go. And so, yeah, that guy's going to draw a little bit more of the attention because he's less known. Hey guys, Jordan Faison, the team's leading receiver, looked like Jordan Faison, as opposed to a guy that caught 4 balls last year. So that's part of it too. That's why, Kedron's going to get more focus than maybe Aeneas will, because I kind of feel like Aeneas is like the most proven, unproven back ever at Notre Dame. You know what I mean? Like, no, he's not proven, but I kind of feel like he also is. He's only got 54 career carries, but man, he's looked really good in those 54 career carries. You know what I mean? And he's played in some big moments. And so I think all those things factor into why maybe one guy sounds more exciting. But like who's going to win RB1 or RB2 is not going to be determined by who we talk about the most in the show. And I'm not saying you're saying that. It's just like, but the interest of who we're talking about, the intrigue is sometimes going to draw a lot more of that. Like we talked a lot more, we talked longer about probably DJ McKinney today than we did Leonard Moore. Does that mean he's better? It's I kind of already know what Leonard Moore is. I kind of know what Jordan Faison is. He is what he is. Aeneas is what he is. He looked great today, but Kedron was the one that we weren't sure about, and that's why I think a little bit like that. But yeah, I think if Kedron is the back we think he is, and Aeneas is the back we think he is, I think this is more like 2022 with Logan and Audric, where it's like 1 week this guy goes for 100, the next week that guy goes for 100. At the end of the year, they're both pushing for 1,000 yards. Because let's be real, if Notre Dame would have played 15 games in 2022, they probably have 2,000-yard running backs.
Yeah.
Because remember, Chris Tyree also rushed for 444 yards that year. So they kind of had 3 running backs that year.
Yep.
So yeah, that's what I would say. It'll look more like the 22 group than the last two. This last one, Trev.
From Jay Melvin, Brian, let me say this with the season on the way. Thank IB for helping us get through this rough offseason. The snub, Notre Dame being hated on, Lou Holtz passing. It's been rough for Notre Dame fans. Thank you, IB.
I can say this truly, Jay Melvin. It has been our pleasure. It really has. And yeah, it's here. It's going to be a long August. I'm just preparing you guys now because we are not going to have a lot of access. So we're giving you this long press report. The next 5 practices we get to go to, we're going to get to watch stretch, special teams, and maybe one individual period. That's it. So it's going to look different. It's August is going to be rough because you guys aren't going to get there's not going to be any more of these moving forward. We'll talk about practice tomorrow, but it'll be very quick. It'll be segment 1, and then we'll get into other stuff. But we're not quite there yet. We're not quite there yet, but we're so close. We're literally, 30 days, 31 days away?
31.
So, and we're 3 days away from it being a month until the season, basically. So, yeah, I'm excited about it. But August is going to be a little brutal because of that. But trust me, we got loads of great content coming. We planned ahead for not having a lot of camp access, Trev. There's a lot of really crucial, fun topics that we're going to get into here over the next month.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm excited for all the content that we got coming out, man. It's going to be awesome.
Yep. So, yeah, we're ready to rock and roll. All right, that's it, Trev.
Folks, that'll do it for us here today on the Irish Breakdown Podcast, brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. Hop on over to Ivy Nation Sports Beat. They go live tonight at 5:05 p.m. Here in about 34-ish minutes. They're also going to be talking about camp. Have to imagine that Stiers has some audio queued up from the press conference this afternoon. On your way out of this show, be sure to hit that like, hit that subscribe, hit that notification bell. Be sure to share this podcast with your friends, family, anybody that you know loves Notre Dame and college football as much as you do. But as always, if you don't want this August to go as long as we're projecting with the limited practice access that we have, the best way to stay in tune, the best way to follow anything Notre Dame football related is hop over to the premium message boards at boards.irishbreakdown.com. So until tomorrow, that's Brian. I'm Trevor. We'll see you back here very soon on the Irish Breakdown Podcast.